right, here we are. I don't think we're in frame right now, though, Jen. Oh, yeah, we're just on delay. That's why.
Yeah.
All right. Whitney Young football is on the air. It's the start of the 2023 season. We're here at Whitney Young Dolphins Media Day, and we're trying something new. So the first line is the only thing I had scripted for the day. The rest of the day is just we're making it up as we go.
You nailed it. You nailed the first line. So
All right,
already off to a good start.
I'm here with offensive coordinator Eddie Boucher.
Yes.
So Eddie, let's get into talking about this year's Dolphins offense.
Sure thing.
Maybe just start from a conceptual standpoint and thinking about where you were last year and into this year, what you're carrying through, and what kind of concepts you might be thinking about this year that you're integrating into the offense.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of carryover from last year. This is my second year as offensive coordinator, so a lot of what I had implemented last season was kind of carryover from the last offensive coaching staff. I think that's pretty typically how it goes. And, you know, we had a great offensive coaching staff before I took over, so we're going to keep a lot of what we did last year. I think my mindset kind of going into this year was really evaluating what we had from like a talent standpoint and like an ability standpoint from our offensive players, and just kind of tweaking what we needed to do from there. So you'll definitely see a lot of the same things. One of the benefits of coaching at a school like Whitney Young is that our students are incredibly intelligent, and so they can really take a lot on their plate. And so we kind of have a very wide range of concepts and game plans that we plan on implementing this season. So there's going to be a lot of familiarity with them. We kind of did an overhaul from the offense perspective in terms of formation names and play call names. We've gone back to a code word system, which we had used in the past. And we anticipate we'll be able to play a little faster that way. Because we'll be able to just yell out the play calls. And so we're looking forward to that. And then, you know, there'll be a few wrinkles. I'm looking forward to kind of getting creative and tricky in the offensive game. So don't be surprised if you see 1-2 trick plays a game, different trick plays every week. And then, yeah, you know, I'm really hoping to bust the offense open and put a lot of points on the scoreboard.
Very good. And I'm sure central to a lot of that is Anthony Hood.
Yes.
Senior wide receiver, took a lot of snaps at quarterback in the Wildcat formation last year.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about Anthony and where you see him fitting in this year.
Yeah, it's really exciting having a player like Anthony. It's kind of bewildering to think that he's going into his senior year, because kind of the skill level and the ability to which he plays at makes me think he's been a senior for the last 3 years. That's just kind of like what he's capable of achieving any given week on the game. So, you know, another good thing we have with Anthony is his connection with Bennett Newman, our quarterback. You know, I know they did a lot of work in the offseason. They trust each other, and that's kind of a good connection to have when you have a dynamic receiver and a quarterback who can make those plays and get the ball to the best player on the field at any given time. We have a lot of talent across the board. We're definitely going to get creative with where we line Anthony up and what we ask him to do. He's really taken that head on, and he's accepted that challenge. So we're looking forward to seeing him run, throw, catch, all of the above.
Yeah. I was what you're saying about him seeming like a senior since day one, and I think I remember watching his first game. I think he had a touchdown in his first game, and I was looking at some of his stats, both catching the ball, but just overall. I mean, he's got a great legacy that he's put together, and I'm looking forward to seeing his senior year. Let's talk more about the rest of that wide receiver core, because there's talent up and down the board there. I mean, Anthony, I think, led the team in receptions last year, but close behind him was Quinn Duhan.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of depth this year. We were a pretty young team overall last year, but especially with our receiver core, and that's exciting because we're going to be able to get different combinations of guys out on the field and do different things with them. Quinn, you know, I've referred to him as my gadget guy this week. His speed brings such a differentiating skill set to the field where, you know, we can give him the ball in the backfield and ask him to run past people. We can ask him to take the top off the defense by just running a fly. And he's also a guy who knows everything. So, we have him working at different wide receiver positions now, just so that he can spill guys when need be, and so we can get different guys on the field. Aside from Quinn, we have, trying to think from an age perspective, I think we have three rising sophomores also in the mix at those receiver positions. We have Rico D'Alessandro, Nazir Rankin, and then Joseph Gray as well. So Nazir has made some incredible plays. He just started practicing with us last week, and his impact on the field is immediate. And our quarterback Bennett has already started developing his own connection with Nas as well. And it's apparent why that's the case. Like yesterday during our scrimmage, Nas was playing defense, but you could kind of see he just made an insane interception, so you could see kind of where those strong hands and the ability to track the ball in the air, it looked like that Odell Beckham catch. So I think that he is going to be dynamic. Right now we're lining him up next to Anthony, so I think that's going to put defenses in a bind when we have kind of our two dynamic players, our game breakers on the same side of the field. And then Rico with his height and his ability to move, and Joseph Gray with his athleticism. I think we're going to have a lot of mismatches across the field with our receiver core this season.
Yeah, good to hear. And you mentioned Nazir Rankin and Rico D'Alessandro just joining practice because they are basketball guys, and so they played a full AAU season. Nas has a couple D1 offers that came in over the last few weeks on the basketball side of things. Both those guys, Nas got hurt early on last year. Rico contributed both on the offensive and defensive side of the year, of the ball, so great to see them out there. Let's talk running backs, and I think also some interest there and some depth. And I think back to last season, and unfortunately, I mean, we saw what could have happened with the good game when you had Joseph, strong contributor, Luke Yiolich, sort of his coming out party as a running back last year. Anthony getting the ball a lot. I mean, you had a game there where you just turned it over to those guys, and they got us the W. Luke, of course, got hurt the week after that, and Simeon, so didn't quite give you that opportunity. But talk about those guys and that group that you have in the backfield this year.
Yeah, so right now we're kind of looking at a three-headed monster. So you've mentioned a few names, Joseph Clayton and Luke Yiolich. Joseph's going to be a senior, Luke's going to be a junior, and then kind of the latecomer to the party will be Maxwell Warner. We'll give some background on him, I'm sure, but he's a track star essentially, and so he brings a lot of good to that running back position. And last year he came into the season the first day of school, but same with like Nazir and Rico, he's been here for the last couple weeks. He's picked up our offensive terminology very quickly, so we anticipate that we're going to see those three a lot this season. And the depth is going to be key. We're going to keep them fresh. That's a tough position to play. You're the one getting hit. We're asking you to block big guys, and so we're looking forward to that. I like to say they all bring different skill sets, and I think they've kind of bought into that. With that being said, I think they can all do it all. But I like to call Luke our power back, and he really has embraced that. He's a downhill runner. He'll lower his shoulder. Joe, I like to call kind of our finesse back. He's our zone guy where we need him to be able to read zone gaps and be able to cut back. And then Maxwell is our speed guy, so if we need him to get outside quickly, he can do it. Yesterday in our scrimmage, I think he busted off like a 60-yard run, and no one was coming close to touching him once he got in open space. So we're going to definitely utilize those guys differently depending on the opponent matchup and what our offensive scheme is for that week. But it'll be exciting to see all of them because I think they all have the ability to make big plays at any given time. So I'm excited about that.
Joseph Clayton referred to as a finesse guy. I'm gonna use that against him in the future.
He's quite the change from what we used to see, and especially what we see when he's playing defense, when he has no problem lowering his shoulder and hitting guys hard. But I think he's bought into it. Last year he kind of took on a large role in that running game. And I think that really helped him, and we see it, that carryover from last season. He's seeing holes better. He's understanding kind of the blocking schematics better. So his ability to put his foot in the ground and cut when he needs to has definitely improved over the last season.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember watching practice last year because in his sophomore year, he got reps at fullback, and I think he was a reluctant offensive player, I would say. I mean, he loves playing defense, loves that linebacker spot. And when I saw him at practice, I saw some of that one-cut stuff. It's like, wow, this is going to make a difference. And so we'll look forward to that. You mentioned Bennett Newman a couple times. Just spend a little more time talking about him and his progression as a quarterback through the Whitney Young Dolphins system.
So, I mean, I remember Bennett's freshman year, that COVID season, where unfortunately the JV season was canceled. And so kind of the younger guys were forced to I say forced. They had the ability to be good teammates and cheer on their varsity teammates, but they didn't get the chance to get that experience. And then his sophomore season, I was his JV coach, and we always saw his talent as a thrower, and so we kind of leaned on that during that JV season. And if you know anything about JV CPS football, it can get rough out there with kind of the players you have, and so I think that was good preparation for him. He took some hits, might have thickened his skin a bit there, and then he took over. He's gone through an amazing improvement throughout the off seasons from a coaching perspective, where we've seen that he's put in that extra work, and he's really kind of dedicated himself to being the best quarterback he can be. And so come junior season, we saw impressive growth from him, and we felt comfortable having him in the backfield, and kind of managing that offense. With that being said, nothing's going to prepare you for kind of like that game day where people are flying around and it's loud and it's chaotic. And so, we saw some really good things from him, and we see good things from him in practice every day. And so going into the senior season now, we're really excited about how he's continued to grow, his mastery of the offense. And then you kind of take it from a level of just playing quarterback to then understanding quarterback, being able to read those coverages, being able to read the box and understanding what your options are and where you might want to look on any given play. And I think he's come a long way in that regard, which we as a coaching staff has wanted to emphasize, because we know he has the ability. We know he has a strong arm. We know he can put the ball in the places it needs to be. So now kind of with that extra cognitive layer, we think we can really kind of do something special this year.
That's great. So I saved, as an offensive lineman, I saved your guys for last year. Yeah. So you've got your 5 returning linemen from last year. Yep. Let's talk about those guys across the board.
I'm really excited. I could talk about the offensive line all day. I love offensive line play. I'm an offensive coordinator now, but I've been coaching the offensive line for the last 5 years. And we have a really, really strong group coming. I like to say we at least have a top 5 offensive line group in the city in Chicago public play, and maybe even top 3 just from a talent and the discipline and fundamental perspective. So just from left to right, we have MJ Woods returning. He's going to be our left tackle. He started for us as a I'll say true freshman, but only because he has a late birthday. So leading up into that game, I believe he might have been 13 years old that first varsity game he played, and then I think he turned 14 like a week or 2 later. So he was young is an understatement there. But we saw the potential there, and once he got on the field, he truly is like a nasty competitor. He wants to beat the guy across from him. And one of his best skill sets is his ability to be coached. When I say things, he'll ask good questions, or if I'm coaching them on any specific technique, he implements it very well and immediately into his kind of repertoire that he has as an offensive lineman. So we're lucky to have him back with the full year experience under his belt. And we think he's going to be great. Yeah,
incredible that thinking back on the season, you're starting a freshman left tackle.
Yeah.
And really, throughout the course of the year, he was solid.
Yeah.
He was very solid, and you saw the progression, and by the end of the year, you saw the explosmovess and the things that he'll be able to do in the future.
Yeah, a lot of room to grow, obviously. Both physically, we anticipate he's going to keep growing from a physical perspective, but also just from a coaching perspective. But yeah, so he's going to be great for us this year. he's meshing well with the team, and so that'll be good. So then moving on to our left guard, right now we have Baba Nifisimi Opedeli slated to be that left guard for us. We can talk about his powerlifting, and that's something he's kind of taken on over the last years, and he's put up incredible numbers. And he's beating guys at very high levels in that competition. And he unfortunately dealt with a knee injury this offseason due to that powerlifting. And so he's kind of been on the mend since then. But he's a guy, going into the senior year who we know will be able to put in there, and he's going to be able to dominate almost any guy across from him. He's that true definition of like big things and small packages.
Yeah, you said one thing once that I love is like he's got built-in leverage.
Yeah, it's what more can you ask for as a lineman? Like when we think about it, he's already lower than most guys even standing up.
That pad level is great.
Yeah, let alone in a stance, and he brings that incredible strength with it. And he's another guy who, over the last few seasons, because this didn't necessarily exist day one, but we started seeing it last year where he just wants to beat the guy across from him. Like he takes pride in that, and that's something that kind of makes you a nasty offensive lineman where, it's you against the person across from you, and one person's going to win, and he thinks he's going to win every single rep, and it translates, and he usually does. So he's going to be a stalwart for us on the line.
I just want to do a quick check behind us. I think they're getting close on the team picture, but let's wrap up your other guys, and then we'll get you over there to make sure that you're in on that one.
I'll go a little more quickly. Nick Dale, our center, rising junior. He's a guy who's played multiple positions on the offensive line for us. He's been in the weight room. He's that captain of the offensive line. He knows everything, very cerebral, and we're looking for him to take that next step. Juan Cepeda, moving to right guard, very good friends with Nick, also a rising junior. And he's a nasty offensive lineman as well. He'll put a lick on a defensive player any given play. And with another season under his belt, it's exciting to have such a young offensive line. And then right tackle Jason Perez, kind of a guy who got the chance to show us what he could do last season. He put on the weight. He was in the weight room, and he's also another guy who incredibly athletic. So we look forward to seeing a lot of things where we get to use him in space, and he can go block at the second level. And he enjoys putting a lick on some defensive players as well. So I think we have a pretty nasty group. Very, very very easy to coach, I should say.
They are well coached as well. I'll give you that.
I don't
They're
want
well
to pat
coached.
myself on the back. Very easy to coach. They really pick up well on things. We're going to do some special things with them in terms of pass protection, and that way we'll just have even more offensive options on the field. And they've earned that with their ability to, show that they can protect the quarterback in different circumstances.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I mean, you mentioned athleticism on Jason, and I was at some of the camps over the summer, and he was definitely turning heads because here's an offensive lineman running like 4.7 40s.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of athleticism there. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Nick and Juan have operated together. Also, guys who started from day one as freshmen, right? And so I have to think sometimes of like, hey, are those guys seniors? No, they're only juniors, which is incredible to have them back. But having that overall line is going to be a lot of fun to put together. Yeah,
don't be surprised if you see a pass thrown to Jason sometime this season. And
boy, we'd never hear the end of it.
Or have, we might Baba being, maybe we'll have Baba throw a pass. Or, we're gonna have fun this season. So
all right. Well, Eddie, I want to make sure that you can get over there and get in the picture. I'm guessing the coaches get in the picture as well.
We will eventually. Yep.
All right. So thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it. We're looking forward to the season.
Same.
We'll see you on the sideline next Friday against Hope.
Yeah, I hope there's not too much criticism of the offensive play calling on the live stream this season. Not that there has been, but
no.
We're looking. We're gonna hope to have some fun and give everyone a good show, and so we're excited.
Yeah. All right, man.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for the time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie.
Are we good?
Yep. We're great. What I'm gonna do. Oh yeah, we're still live. So this is where we're just gonna make this stuff up. So I'm going to ask my wonderful assistant, Jennifer Newman, if she could go over and ask either Coach O'Donnell or Coach Finger if they're available right now. And if they're not, I'll just do some fill. You don't think they're available? All right. So this is when my live stream audience drops off considerably, when it's just me talking. But let's, as we're waiting for the coaches and players to finish up on the team picture, so we'll talk to Coach Finger, we'll talk to Coach O'Donnell, the defensive coordinator, and we're going to try to get a bunch of the players. We're going to try to get a bunch of the senior players and some of the junior contributors. But as we're waiting for them, let me just kind of walk through the schedule this year for everyone. And it is going to be a challenging schedule. As I look at it, as I went through it last night, of our 9 opponents, 6 of those opponents were state qualifiers last year. So nothing easy on the schedule at all. Start off the slate with Chicago Hope Academy next Friday, the 25th, kickoff at 7 o'clock over at Hope. So if you remember, if you were a fan of the Dolphins last year, they were our week 1 opponent. We played them great in the first half, and then things, some injuries, some turnovers, the wheels sort of fell off a little bit there. But Hope went on and marched through the rest of their schedule. They were undefeated. They rose up to, I think, number 2 in the state in 1A. I mean, they're a very small school. They're a private school. I think they had a stat that 1 out of every 5 of the people at their school is part of the football team. But they rose up to number 2 in the rankings and advanced to the 3rd round of the D1 state playoffs. Again, Hope led by Chris Millette, who was the head coach at Whitney Young prior to Coach Finger. So Coach Finger was, and I think both Coach Finger and Coach Boucher were assistant coaches on Coach Millette's staff. So Chris Millette, really well known around the Chicagoland area in football and community circles. He was an assistant at Simeon, assistant at I think Phillips before he's coming here, and he's been at Hope and has built a great program. So that's what we face right out of the blocks. Week 2. Also play a state qualifier, and that's Perspectives Leadership. So another CPS school. Maybe Coach Finger will talk a little bit about it, but I'll mention that there was realignment in the off season as far as how CPS has the different divisions aligned. So now across the red division, there are 4 different, I guess we call them conferences, I don't know, or divisions within the conference. So across red, there are 4 different groups of 4 teams. We are in a grouping with, this is gonna test me, with Taft, Westinghouse, and Bulls College Prep. So that's our 4, and we'll play those 4 every year. And then the other 3 groupings, we will play teams from those other groupings. Perspectives is one of those. So they played in I believe the white division last year. So it was a division call it a lower division within CPS, but they were very good. They were 2nd in that conference, finished the season 8-2. We saw them 2 years ago, played them for a homecoming game, but we'll play them at their place week 2. Week 3, Morgan Park, and so that's if you look at the schedule and you want to see D1 level talent, Morgan Park is the game to mark down for that. So Morgan Park finished last year 10-2. They lost in the 3rd round of the state playoffs. They've got a kid, Tyshawn Griffin, who's their starting running back. He's got SEC offers. He's got Big Ten offers. Not a super big guy, but extremely fast. He's a guy that anytime he touches the ball, he can take it to the house. They, in addition to Griffin, they picked up a transfer from Bremen in the offseason, another running back who had over 1,000 yards and 18 touchdowns last year. Their quarterback was a second-team all-city guy last year. So tons and tons of talent on the Morgan Park side. We play them at Lane, so that's a Friday night lights game, 7:15 on the 8th of September. Should be a lot of fun. After that, we finally get to come back. Our home games this year will be at Rockne Stadium off of Central. So Rockne was closed down last year as they did renovations. We're excited to get back out to Rockne, sort of this old-school stadium. The difference now is that there's actually turf with yard lines on it. Tony McHale and I called a bunch of games from there, and you just had to sort of guess what yard line they were on. Because, I mean, the actual yardage lines were on the field, but there weren't any numbers on the field. So, anyway, we're looking forward to being back at Rockne. It's a great sort of old school feel. You have Chicago in front of you as the skyline, and so we play our first game there on the 15th against Curie. Curie's a program, a CPS program that has historically had a lot of success. They've struggled, I'd say, a little bit in past years, but I think they played a number of our common opponents last year very tough. I mean, I think so from a team perspective, a talent perspective, I think they were in line with where we were last year. Let's see if we can make the jump and get above them this year. Then on the 22nd, mark that down as a big rivalry game, and that's a Westinghouse game. And so Westinghouse made the state playoffs last year. They hadn't been in state for a while. If you were a Dolphin fan last year and you watched that game, it essentially came down to one play. I mean, we gave up a long drive and a touchdown pass at the end of the game. A game that we had been ahead most of the game. They ended up pulling out the win in that. They've got a Skia Bully. Their quarterback was an all-state quarterback, and he really opened eyes in our game. Keeps every play alive, scrambles, has just an awesome arm, finds open receivers. No play was ever done with that kid on the field, and so we'll see him again when Westinghouse comes to our place. And I think, again, we've played some really good games with that team over the years. I'm sure that they're looking to take last year's success, where they finished, I think, 5-4, made state playoffs. They're going to look to continue to ramp up, especially with Bully as their quarterback. The 30th of September, we play an opponent we haven't seen for a while. That's Hyde Park. So Hyde Park, another one of those schools that played in that white division last year and are now up to the red division. They were a state qualifier last year. So would be interesting to see that team understand. I'm sure they're going to bring a bunch of talent. They're going to bring a bunch of speed. And so we play them. Following week is Clark. So that will be at Clark on the 7th of November. That's a Saturday game. Both Hyde Park and Clark games are Saturday games. So if you're traveling from out of town, you might want to mark those down as games you can fly in on Friday night and check us out on Saturday. So Saturday, 5 o'clock game. I mean, Clark, again, is one of those games where last year, if we look back at it, 1-2 plays in that game, and we have a win in that game. There was a tip pass at the line of scrimmage, came down to the most athletic kid on the field. I'm going to blank on his name right now. I think his name was Taylor, but great player from Clark, and he took it to the house for a pick six. And then also, I'll bring this up. I'm sure it's on your Whitney Young bingo card, the number of times I complain about the pass interference penalty, where they threw up a prayer on a 4th down play. There wasn't anybody close to where the ball was, and somehow a referee called pass interference, kept their drive alive, allowed them to score. Long way of saying that's a game that's going to be tightly matched. I think Clark's a very good team. We're going to be a very good team. Seeing them at the end of the year will be interesting. Taft, we play at Taft, a great environment. So another thing, and especially we played there when they had us for a homecoming game 2 years ago. Stands were packed. Parking lot was packed with people tailgating beforehand. They run a great program at Taft. It's a lot of fun. Again, if that's a Friday night lights game, that's going to be a ton of fun to go to. Taft, as historically, they've really built that program up. They had an extremely strong line play last year. Krupa, Barreto, 2 kids who I think are going to Truman State together, playing at D2 level. But those guys are gone. Barat Abad, their quarterback, also graduated. They do have Jaden Padilla, running back, who I think was second-team All-City as a freshman and All-City last year as a sophomore. So Taft was a team that last year, at the beginning of the year, they had a couple losses early and seemed to not quite get momentum rolling. So they didn't qualify for state, which was surprising. But but they did qualify for the city playoffs. They qualified within the conference for the city playoffs, and then they went on a roll and almost made it to the city championship game. So very strong program to add to it. And then we finished the regular season with Bulls College Prep on the 20th of October. That's a home game. That's going to be both our homecoming game and our senior night. So a lot of emotion on the field for that game. Hopefully, that's, again, last regular season game. We probably won't get into the mathematics. But basically, if you think about it, to qualify for state playoffs, you need 5 wins. You need 5 quality wins. There's a little bit of a point system behind that. And then I think for the city playoffs, my guess is that of those groups of 4, we're going to have to finish in the top 2 in our grouping. So if that grouping is Taft, Westinghouse, Bulls Prep, we're going to need to win 2 of those 3 games to guarantee ourselves a spot in the Chicago City playoffs. I'm going to take a look behind me to see how we're doing. It looks like we're doing individual groupings of players right now. So hopefully I can get a coach over, because I'm sure you're all probably sick of me talking. Coach Eddie did talk, kind of went through that offensive group. So he talked about it. I'm looking at my cheat sheet right now. And so just to kind of go through the offensive depth chart for you. We started with Coach Eddie, talked about the depth of talent in that wide receiver spot. So what's called the X receiver, sort of the, I guess I'd say the highest profile receiver spot within the offense. That is Anthony Hood in that spot. And he's backed up by Will DeMille. The F receiver, which is sort of, if you think about NFL football, college football, that's like the slot receiver. And Coach Eddie referred to Quinn Duhan as his gadget guy. And that requires sort of the quick blasts off the line, and a lot of times you're going over the middle and you're going to take some hits. Sorry, Duhan family. So Quinn's in that spot, along with Nazir Rankin. All right, so Nazir has been the talk of camp over the last couple weeks because of his athleticism. So again, you got a kid who's a basketball point guard who's nationally ranked as a point guard. I think his offers this week were from Liberty and Eastern Michigan, but many more offers are going to come in for him on the basketball side of things. But for now, we've got him on the football side, so he's going to see a bunch of time at F. And I think what we'll see is that I'm sure Coach Eddie's going to want to have the tandem of Quinn, Nasir, and Anthony Hood on the field at the same time in one way, shape, or form. The Z position, also mentioned Joseph Gray, freshman last year, played a bunch on the defensive side. So I was looking at stats. He was a top 7, 8 tackler last year in defense. Got a bunch of reps on offense. Rico D'Alessandro also at that Z. So that a lot of times that position is running some of the deeper routes. You're looking for some big plays out of that. And then the H position, that H-back position, sometimes almost like a tight end position. A lot of times seeing it in motion. Shorter routes, trying to find some, if it's a zone coverage, trying to find some of the in space opportunities there, or wheel routes. And you've got Barry Gordon and Harrison Gassa at those spots. So Harrison last year I think played a lot at the Z, had a couple big catches, had a couple big touchdown catches. He gives you a big frame. Harrison's 6'4", 6'5". He's going to be moving inside to that. And then Barry Gordon, who has been he started last year defensive end, played almost all year sort of battling it out in the trenches on the defensive side. We'll see a lot of him on the defensive side of the ball as well, but also looking forward to having him on the field in that H-back position. Across the front line, Nick Dale at center, Babanefasimi Opedele at left guard, Juan Cepeda at right guard, Jason Perez right tackle, MJ Woods left tackle. And then, I think Coach Eddie sort of went through that running back core, Yiolich, Clayton, Maxwell Warner. He did mention, so Maxwell also just started practice a couple weeks ago. Max is a nationally ranked triple jumper. I think he does some other events in track as well, but I believe he finished 6th in nationals in the triple jump. So again, the athleticism that's on this team is going to be great. It was there last year, but maybe a little bit younger. So you're hoping that these guys get out here, they get accustomed to what it's like, what games are like, the speed of games, and a guy like Max that we'll see on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, see some of that talent come out. Quarterback, Bennett Newman back. Again, Coach Eddie talked about Bennett started sophomore on JV, started last year, did have a thumb injury about halfway through the year, so actually a broken thumb, but he played through it. Made it tougher on the coaching staff, though. So I think it was he heard it in the Clark game. It wasn't really discovered because his parents are a little lackadaisical. I'm his parent. And we didn't get him in for x-rays until after the Lane game. But then it was just tough the rest of the way, where the coaches sort of had a game plan around him during the week by having Anthony take snaps at quarterback through the Wildcat. Alex Dale took snaps at quarterback. Bennett was still allowed, cleared by medical personnel, not just by his parents, cleared by medical personnel to play in games. But it was just tough not getting those practice reps. And so you still saw him. You saw him in Phillips. He came in right before halftime, completed long pass to, I think, Duhan, then a touchdown pass to, I think I actually went out of order here, long pass to Harrison Gossa, touchdown pass to Quinn Duhan. And then, he played throughout the Westinghouse game, but it was just tougher throughout the course of the year. So we look forward to keeping him upright all year and healthy, and then we can see what this offense has in store for us. Also, some other guys that we'll see, Tyson Hayes on offense. There's another position called the Y position, so that's something that might be in sort of like a split back formation. So Tyson, great athlete that we'll see on the defensive side of the ball, but also try to see if we can get the ball to him a few times. Hopefully, at some point, we'll get Coach O'Donnell to talk through the defense. But while I'm just filling time, I'll give you an overview of the defensive two deep as well. Cornerback, and so this is a little bit of a change. And again, what's been interesting over the summer is that, and I mentioned it a million times last year, we had 3 seniors on the team last year. Alex Dale, who was playing on offensive, defensive side of the ball, was punting, was doing everything else. Jacob Mraz, who did just really filled in well later in the year on the defensive side, and then played a bunch of receiver in the last game, and it was also a special teams ace. And Brandon Bardsma, who was a punter who we lost with an injury early on. So when we look at returning starters, essentially we have 20 returning starters. If you take Alex out of the equation as a starter on both offense and defense. So 20 guys coming back, plus a lot of these young guys who got reps last year filling in a second team. The difference this year is the depth, and I'm sure that this is something that Coach Finger wants to continue to build through the program. I think I counted up, still even the senior class this year is not a huge number. I think we've got between 10, 12 seniors in this year's class. Junior class, sophomore class, big numbers there, so I think we're getting the program where we want it to be. But with these guys, and so last year, guys like Alex, Quinn Duhan, Joseph Clayton, Anthony Hood, those guys never came off the field. They played every snap, offense, defense, special teams, and that's tough. This is a tough game, and they spent a lot of time on the field. This year, the hope is because of the depth, because of some of these guys, because of the Nazir Rankins and Rico D'Alessandros and Maxwell Warners, Joseph Grays, where they're playing both, where these guys don't have to play every single snap, and that's going to keep them fresher and is going to help us win games in the third and fourth quarter. So I want to, on that note, at cornerback, who will likely start is Javon Hobbs. Javon was a basketball player here. I think Javon's a senior this year. This is his first year of football, but he has come out, shown that athleticism on the football field, and he'll likely be a starter or get a lot of reps in the defensive backfield, which is great because it allows you to give guys like Duhan and Anthony Hood some time on the sidelines, and also to put some of your best athletes on the field and mix and match. So he's at a corner. Max Warner backing him up at that. Again, I think these guys are going to, Max and Javon will see a lot of defensive reps. Luke Yiolich, Will DeMille at the safety spot. Quinn Duhan, Anthony Hood at the other safety. At least that's the way it's listed right now. Anthony's played a lot of corner over his time here, so I'm sure, depending on what the game situation is, we could see Coach O'Donnell plugging Anthony in some of those spots. Tackle stats from last year, and I will bring this up hopefully today, but Quinn Duhan and Joseph Clayton tied for most tackles on the team last year at 115, and then one tackle behind them was Alexander Dale. But just to know again, Quinn, second leading receiver, leading tackler. Guy's an amazing athlete, amazing person. We'll hopefully talk to him today. But to get him a little more time on the sideline, a little more time to rest up during the game will be great. And so then at the other corner position, Nazir Rankin. So everybody's been talking about, the Odell Beckham catch that Nas made in a scrimmage game yesterday. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of that out. Coach O'D will talk more schematics, a little bit different up front this year, but I'll just go through the two deep. At linebacker position, both Barry Gordon, Jason Perez, going to see some at the outside linebacker position. I think they call it the jack position. That will be putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback as well. So sort of like an edge position. In the middle, Joseph Clayton. That's where he's been for the last 3 years. He'll continue as to hold down the middle linebacker position with Dominic Duenas backing him up. Joseph Gray. Moving from a corner position as Joseph continues to grow and develop and get stronger. He's now in that middle and linebacker. So a guy who last year was out on the edge as a cornerback, now using that athleticism in the middle. He'll be backed up by Rayton Scotemere. So we saw Rayton in the last game against Hubbard last year, and flying around making plays. So Rayton made a ton of plays JV last year, and then got called up as a freshman to varsity at the end. And then the star position, Tyson Hayes at the star position. Tyson, excellent athlete, has now played a lot of football last year, the year before. He will make plays, and we saw that. We saw the progression of him. I think it was the Taft game where really you could see all the work that he put in throughout the course of the year, and just being on the field as much as he was, things just started to click, and the guy was just flying around. We're going to see a lot of that this year. Josiah Powell will be backing him up. Josiah is a transfer into Whitney Young, so also a really solid player, and we're going to see a lot of him. And then up front, in the scheme on the nose, Nick Dale, Juan Cepeda, a tackle position, Nefesimi Opedele. Cepeda will also get some time there. And then the end, DN position, Harrison Gassa and Rico D'Alessandro at that position across the two deep. Not to say many other people will play during the course of the year, but those are some of the guys that you'll see out there. Harrison, I know, did a lot of work over the summer, was at a bunch of different camps, was at the Northern Illinois camp where he was featured, so he's got a ton of length. He did have an injury in that Phillips game, but he's back healthy. I think that's we have a couple dings throughout the course of camp, so hopefully we'll get everybody up and ready to go for that first game at Hope. Couple injuries, lingering injuries on the offensive line that will hopefully dissipate. That's probably not the right word, but hopefully these guys heal up and they'll be ready to roll for that first Hope game, which again is a great battle, right? I mean, and I think for some of these seniors, the first game that they played at Whitney Young from a JV perspective was against Hope, and Hope rolled in here, and they're big and they're fast, and they're a small school, but they have a very boisterous student section, very boisterous alumni base, and fan backing. So it'll be a good environment. They've got great facilities. We'll be over there. We played 7-on-7 each year. They host a tournament, so we played over there earlier this summer. Team did well. We finished third. Dropped a game to I actually wasn't there, so I would be making this up if I remembered who we dropped the semifinal game to, but it wasn't Hope. I think it was Westinghouse. Actually, it was Westinghouse, and it literally was just a back-and-forth game. I mean, everybody scored. Every possession, everybody scored, so Westinghouse just happened to have the ball first and the ball last, and so they ended up winning that 7-on-7. But again, good to be able to compete, good to be able to be part of Hope. I'm going to take a little look back here, see what's going on. We'll see. I wonder if I can pull another coach. I'm pointing at Coach OD. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get him, if he can shirk whatever other responsibilities he had going on. And I appreciate all of you out there. We've got a good audience right now. Do you have a couple minutes, Coach OD? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, Coach Connor O'Donnell.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's have you scooch over just a little bit here. Make sure we're in screen. We're a little bit delayed there, so you can't really see, but then you'll see it. First year offensive coordinator. Last year was your first year defense. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. You know, it's all the same, right? No, but thanks. So Coach OD came in last year. Mm-hmm. First year on site. Was it your first year at Whitney Young last year?
Yeah, first full year.
Okay.
I had some time towards the end of spring break. The year before that, but last year was the first full year. So.
All right. So. Tell us what you're thinking this year on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe first schematically, and then talk some of the players that you think will be doing the brunt of the work for you.
Hey, well, yesterday we had a team scrimmage, and we may or may not have had some side bets between me and Coach Eddie, offense and defense, and the defense looked pretty good. I liked what I saw out there. Guys are communicating, right? We're playing a new defense this year, and it's really key that guys are really talking, right? We're not really having a huge emphasis on the amount of plays, right? Your son was joking around with me yesterday that my call sheet, you could fit on an index card, right? If anything, right? So the key defense this year, we're switching it up. Last year, we started in, cover 3 defense. We had a 4-down front. And then towards the middle of the year, we switched it up more to a 3-man front just because personnel-wise, our team has a lot of depth at the linebacker and defensive back position. Not as much depth in the trenches. So Coach Finger, Coach Eddie, and I, we talked a lot over the offseason about how we wanted to change the defense. And so we decided that more of like a 3-4 defense and a quarters coverage look probably fits our personnel a little bit better. So it's really key that guys are, looking in the right spot. Their keys, right? That's a huge emphasis this year, right? Big quote I've said it a few times in our meetings. One of my favorite football players, Brian Urlacher of the Bears, he said, when you play angry, you lose focus, you don't play great, but it's all about reading your keys and playing fast. So that's kind of my big MO with the guys this year, and they've done a great job. Something as simple as, the inside linebackers this year, reading pulling guards, outside guys, right, they're reading the end man line of scrimmage to tell them if it's pass or run. That's going to be a huge key this year is those outside guys, right? They have a lot on their plate. They're kind of in that hybrid position, right? They got to be in there to stuff up the run at the same time. They have to, drop back in the flat. And so, I'm really looking forward to defense this year. I like what I saw yesterday, and, Friday's going to be a big test for us. Yeah,
definitely. Mm-hmm. What do you expect out of Hope?
So we watched a lot of Hope film. Week 1's tough. We were talking about this in the film room. Defensively, you're not really sure if they're going to switch up a lot. From what we saw on the 7-on-7 and what we think they're going to do is pretty much similar to last year. We think they're going to come out in a lot of spread, like 2x2. Some jet motion. When they like to run, they like to have a 20 personnel set. A lot of counter inside. They got some big guys. When they're going to stretch us outside, they're going to stretch us with speed. When they're going to run up the middle, it's going to be a lot of power and counter. So, they lost a great player in Judah Millette, but they had a lot of depth at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I was looking back at both our film, and then I watched their game against DePaul Prep on film. And so, Eddie Jenkins Jr., their quarterback, is dynamic, keeps plays alive. He's got a great arm. Number 2, Williams, I think that guy anytime he touches the ball. So he returned a bunch of punts and kickoffs. He actually returned a punt against us for a touchdown that got called back.
Yep.
So that guy and I think maybe more than anything, that's a team that they don't go down on the first tackle or they don't go down on the first guy that hits them or the second guy that hits them. The play just keeps going on for them.
Yeah, you said it well. It's not just with the ball in their hand; it's the ball out of their hand, right? You got to stay on, your toes. Like you said, the quarterback likes to get out of the pocket, designed or not designed, and the receivers are really trained really well. It looks like almost a practice scramble drill every day, right? So when that quarterback gets out of the pocket, those guys are ready. Whether they're on the front side of the play or on the back side, we got to be ready. So we're going to be talking a lot about that next week in practice for sure.
All right, give me a couple guys in your view. Especially some of the guys that have been around. You got Joseph Clayton in the middle of that defense, and he's been doing it for a long time. What do you expect out of a guy like Joseph this year?
We knew going in that his physical skills, right, his speed, his strength, and to some guys, humor his jumps, right. He made a couple picks in summer camp. He got up there for a short guy, right. He doesn't play short. We knew that coming into summer and training camp, but what we really wanted out of him was his voice, right? He had to fill in a pretty big void with Alex Dale, now Coach Dale, right? He learned a lot from him, right? It's not just talking schematically, but when you're in individual defensive period of the linebackers, right? He's holding those guys accountable to their footwork, make sure they're doing the drill right, make sure they're reading their keys. So I really look forward to seeing how he helps his partner in crime, Joseph Gray, develop an inside linebacker position. That's new for him. So we really expect Joseph Clayton to be, like I said, a leader out there physically, but also, with his voice as well.
All right. And how about the defensive backfield? You got some new faces, some athletes back there. Tell us what the expectation is from those guys.
Yeah. It was great to have Javon join us, right? So coming in as a senior, right, basketball player, you can tell, he's playing corner like a basketball player. He's quick. He's picked up the game of football, especially the cornerback position, pretty well. So that helps us out because we found out, looking back at the film, talking to guys in the offseason, big weakness for ours is how many guys we have going two ways. And I bring it up because Javon kind of allowed us to take some guys like Nas, like Ant, allow them to focus a little more on offense, right? So he's been a huge help. Also, you got Maxwell Warner, right? He came on the scene last year as a freshman. He did a lot of great things at the running back position on JV, but we're trying to, develop him at the cornerback position, so that's been great. And then over the top, like I said, we're playing more of a quarters defense. So those guys on the outside, right, they're very athletic. They're making plays, big pressure moments. But those guys, in the safety position, right, they got to be smart. They got to communicate, and we got those guys in Quinn and Luke. Quinn is, you can put anything in front of him, he's going to soak it up like a sponge. Mm-hmm. And he's picked up the defense very well. And he's been, helping me out on the field, talking through guys, right, talking through plays and what we have to do. And then Luke on the backside, right, he's, mostly going to be like a boundary safety. So he's coming into the box a little bit, coming downhill. So at the beginning of the year, a lot of guys thought he'd be more of a linebacker. And I said, guys, he's basically a linebacker just 10 yards off the ball. Okay, and so he's going to really help us out in the run and pass. So I'm really looking forward from what we're going to get from defensive backs. And hopefully, like I said, Ant and Nas are going to get in too. Nas made a great play yesterday in our scrimmage, like a one-handed pick. He looked like Odell Beckham out there. So it's going to be hard to keep those guys off the field too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk also a little bit about Tyson Hayes out of that star position. Another great athlete. And I was mentioning it when I was filling time before, and I couldn't remember the game, but I think it was Taft, where you could just see Tyson, the more time he spent on the field last year, the more comfortable he became, the more athletic he became, because he was no longer thinking about that. He's just reacting as a football player.
Yeah, you're so right. Tyson said in the locker room the other day, he kind of said half kidding, but I think he was kind of serious. He said he's a kinesthetic learner. He likes to see things on the field, and he asks a lot of good questions. He's very receptive. He's very coachable, and you're totally right. He's a pure athlete. I think he's one of the best tacklers on the football team, especially in space, right? He shoots a shot, whether, it's a jet sweep outside zone, right? I think he's making the tackle, 99, 100 times. So like you said, just kind of making him more comfortable on the football field. So in that star position, right, he's more of like a hybrid, like outside linebacker. He's in space in the field spot. The star is always going to be on the field. And so that means he's got to work in space. And like you said, that requires him looking at his keys. It's a huge emphasis this year. So, whether he's lining up over the second or third receiver on the outside, he's got to keep his eyes on the inside. Right, so we're telling him a lot what he's looking at. He's looking at that outside lineman, outside tight end. He's not just looking at the backfield, and he's become a lot smarter football player. He's putting that together with his footwork, and like you said, his physical skill sets are there. So I'm looking forward to see what he's got this year for sure.
All right, very good. Let's talk about some of those guys in the trenches as well, because they don't often get the credit that they deserve for the job that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, beginning of the year, the philosophy, you got to start talking about Coach Eddie, right? And why I bring that up, because I said, my goal is for those guys to be fresh on the offensive side of the trenches. And so, what comes to mind is MJ, right? MJ, he's been asking me a lot. He's like, how many defense reps I'm going to get? And I said, you know what? I'm thinking about guys in the trenches on the defensive side, more about what you're doing on the offensive side of the ball. Okay, because not a lot of time they had moments on the sideline talk to Coach Eddie about how they want to block certain fronts. And so, I'm bringing up offense a lot, but I think I'm really confident those guys on the defensive side of the ball. We have Harrison who's going to be playing more on the field side, end position, where he's always going to be working in space. He's done a really good job this year when he's in space to chase down tackles. That's great. He's got to break down his fundamentals a little bit more, make sure those guys are in the right spot. And the nose spot, right, that's kind of made for Baba. Okay, the nose spot, he's basically two-gapping the whole time, right? That just means, right, he's just, beating up that center, making plays. And then the backside, we got left to anchor down that tackle position, whether it's MJ, whether it's Nick. Hopefully we can plug in some younger guys, right? Dylan, Adrian, Alex, right? Those are those guys that we can see in the future that are going to be in that position. So, we're confident enough to put those guys in a little bit so we can give, like I said, those offensive linemen a little bit of rest.
Excellent. All right, Coach O.D., any final words of wisdom? How about this?
Yeah.
How about this? Let's switch it up. So, let's talk a little bit about. So you're part of the economics department here. What are you looking forward for the academic side of things this year?
Econ's like my favorite class to teach. I actually taught it last year. I'm switching classes this year. Your son actually, signed up for my class thinking that I was going to teach it, and I had a. The boss has said I teach something else, so not my choice.
Level of disappointment that day was great. Was significant. I think for a couple players that we're hoping to have you.
Yeah, I told the teachers that are teaching econ now, you're gonna have a lot of football players that thought they'd have me in class, but they're great teachers. And next year I'm teaching AP Human Geography. I'm gonna have basically pretty much half the freshman class. So looking forward to seeing some of the football players that I know are going to be in my class, and then hopefully maybe do some recruiting for next year. So looking forward to that.
All right, very good. Thanks a lot for your time, Coach O.D. We're looking forward to next Friday, looking forward to the season.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to see if I'm going to grab some players right now, hopefully. I guess let's start it off. We'll start it off with the quarterback. You ready to go on air? Yep. All right.
Whoa.
So that's on delay there, so you won't see it eventually, but I think you'll probably have to move over a little bit. So we're on air right now with quarterback Bennett Newman.
Oh, there I am.
There you are. It's a little bit late. So talk to Coach Boucher already about the offense this year and some of their expectations from you. What are you looking for this year as a starting quarterback for Whitney Young? What is your, and I don't want to put you on the spot about what your vision is, but if you're just thinking week to week, what are some of the things that you want to improve from last year to this year?
The most obvious answer is ball security. Had 11 picks last year, I think. That's can't happen again. So we added more checkdowns in the offense this year. It'll allow me to take less risky shots downfield. We can check it down to Joseph Clayton, Luke Yiolich, pick up yards instead of having to just throw 50-50 balls and see what happens.
Yeah, and all the coaches have been talking about the depth and the athleticism at the receiver front. And so what does that mean for you as a quarterback?
Well, it's nice because with having Nas at F, we can throw, like every day at practice, I've thrown an out route to him, and he's taken it for 10, 15 easy. He'll make 4 guys miss. And then having him in the slot and Anthony outside, last year they doubled Anthony a ton. They'd have his high safety high on him, so that would shut him down. But by having Nas, that brings that safety out of the, like, too high, and you can throw it underneath to Nas or take a shot to Anthony in single coverage.
And so what is what's the line in Vegas on the number of rushing first downs you'll have this year?
See, not a lot, but we'll see. We got a couple.
All right. So it's funny because there's a lot of like terminology that goes on, and it's impressive for you guys to know all these things. I just wanted to ask you this. So let's just walk through like during the game. And one of the comments always is that you guys don't have headset, you don't have the microphone in your ear, and so the way we run things here at Whitney Young is you come over to the sideline, you get the play from Coach Eddie, then you go back to the huddle. So not to give any secrets away, but for our viewers, just talk us through what a play call would mean, and then what the different words within that play call mean.
This year's a little different. This year we're going to have Coach Eddie in the box, and he'll call down to Finger, and then Coach Finger will give me the play, and then I'll run out. It's our play call. We first have the formation. So like our base formation is deuce. We have deuce right, deuce left. It's 2 by 2. Then the next will be our motions. Like we have hack, what is H across, so it would just be Barry motioning across the field. And then after that we get into play call. So like a regular pass play, it'd just be that play call. Each side knows what they have to do. We have a few pass plays where you have each side has a different route concept. So like we have a Y cross this year where we have Y cross on one side and smash on the other side. So that's a different play call. But then like run plays, you have your base like inside zone. Then you have an attach if you want it to be killed, liveroed or anything like that, or bashed. And then you have your RPO at the end, and then a gift. So like a regular base call for us would be like duo left, cub right, X arrow, slant bubble. So that's just.
Did everybody get that at home?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I get that told that once, and then I got to remember it for like 30 seconds while I run. Repeat it to everybody. They got to remember it.
And then they have to remember if it's on 1 or 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
That's
that
a big
part.
thing as well, right?
Yeah. But so like that would just be a regular inside zone to Luke with a slant bubble on the other side.
All right. So I didn't get any of that stuff, but hopefully you all understood that there's a lot of complexity to these things going on. Before I let you leave, I want to talk a little more. It was mentioned by Coach Boucher about all the work that you do in the off season. Yeah. You work with Byron Dawkins as a quarterback coach. Can you reflect a little bit back on your time? I mean, I remember I was there the first time that you were there. You did a workout with him. I think one of your first throws sort of zinged off of a thermostat on the side of the gym wall.
I hit the thermostat. I also hit the thing on the clock on the
the clock on the wall.
Yeah, knocked the cover off the clock.
So what do you think about what has changed most for you from the point of whatever it was 2.5 years ago to where you are right now? What has changed the most for you?
Well, last year we really focused throwing motion in the off season, so like that's gotten a lot crisper, a lot faster. But the biggest jump has been from last year to this year. We walked a bunch of in the pocket movement. Because like I'm not the fastest person in the world, but we did a drill a couple days ago where it was just me versus the D lineman, and I had to get out of that, and that really showed what Byron Dawkins has been able to teach me, just like in the pocket movement. It's also helped a lot with timing. We go through route concepts, coverages, like when to throw things, when not to throw things, what to look at pre-snap, what to look at post-snap, who to read, all those things. But just that and the movement, like just in-pocket movement, being able to slide up, slide back in the pocket without having to like give myself more time to throw and not having to take a sack or throw a risky pass.
Yeah, no, that's great. So shout out to Byron Dawkins.
Yep.
Give B-Doc QB1. If you're an aspiring young quarterback, give Byron a text.
Yes.
He'll get back to you. QB1. Bennett, thanks a lot for your time. Good luck this year. Can you do me a favor and grab any one of those senior guys and have them come over here? Maybe Joseph Clayton would be perfect.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. So that was Bennett Newman, starting quarterback for the Dolphins, entering his senior year. I think he's going to grab me. He's going to grab me Joseph Clayton. All right, let's just slide over a little bit this way. All right. Joseph, you've got we've talked to both the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator so far. Your name comes up a heck of a lot. And I was looking back, actually. I have it written down somewhere, I think. Actually, hang on. I do have it right here. I have Joseph Clayton tackles through the years. So as a freshman, 10 tackles, and that's an asterisk because that was only 3 games. That was a COVID season, only 3 games. Last year, or 2 years ago, 95 tackles. I think you led the team. And then last year, 115 tackles, which you did lead the team. And I don't know if you know this stat. So you were tied. You and Quinn had 115. You know who had 114? Alex Dale. Yeah. So I think that you should make sure you bring that up to Alex. So actually, as we're on that, before we talk football, let's talk about your summer, because you and Alex, who were together on the field for a long time, you also did some stuff off the field this summer. Tell us a little bit about that and about that experience.
So me and Alex were working in a research lab this summer with his mom. It's kind of intimidating. She's very intense, but I appreciate it a lot. I learned a lot in the lab. It was biochemistry, so we were we grew E. coli cells, and then we extracted the protein out of the cells and crystallized them so that we could study the structure of it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And you're also, as a senior, you're moving toward that college path.
Yeah.
I don't want to, give me the short list or anything like that. But what are you thinking? What are you thinking about, either from a major perspective, or what are some of the schools that you're interested in right now? Where have you visited?
So I'm definitely interested in neuroscience. So I've been looking at schools that could kind of help me in that field. But I recently visited Michigan, University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and I've also visited Miami. Both of them have really beautiful campuses. Although the feel of Michigan just felt a little bit better than Miami.
All right, but what about Northwestern, Joseph?
It's a little too close to Chicago.
Oh. So Joseph comes from a lineage of Northwestern Wildcats, right? I think your mom, your grandmother as well, and then your dad did his law school work at Northwestern.
My mom.
Oh, your mom did. Okay. So what is as a Northwestern guy? Now we have Alex there as well. Come on, man, it's not that close. I mean, we won't come and visit you.
Yeah, but I can still see the skyline. So.
Oh, all right. I understand. Okay, so good on that stuff. Let's talk football. So let's start on the defensive side of the ball. You've played that middle linebacker spot. How do you think about your progression through freshman, sophomore, junior years, and how has the game changed for you when you're out there?
So freshman year, and I guess sophomore year too, because those kind of blend together because freshman year was so short. It was just kind of about getting on the field, finding my place on this team. And so, I'm not really I wasn't watching film that much. I wasn't studying every defensive position. I just needed to know my position, and that's how I was gonna get my reps. Junior year, it's the role kind of started to increase, but I still had that safety net in Alex Dale. So it's there were situations I have to give Alex his credit. There were situations where I would just go the wrong way, and Alex would just push me into a tackle. That did happen sometimes. But I don't have that this year, so I have to. I definitely have to watch more film. I have to. I've been trying to learn every position on defense, and the defense, I feel it's not too complicated. I've been an assistant for 4 years. It hasn't changed that much. I have to take on more of a leadership role, and I have to be the safety net now. That's the big realization that I'm the safety net.
Yeah, Coach O.D. mentioned just you working alongside a guy like Joseph Gray, who played corner last year, now is moving inside, and how besides just being there every day, how do you help guys like that on the field?
Well, from the linebacker standpoint, our linebackers are small. There's no way to sugarcoat that.
All right.
So the way we have Coach Dale and stuff now too, so he's been kind of coaching them up. But the way I see it is you have to use your size to your advantage. Those offensive linemen, they're gonna be bigger than you, but they're gonna be a lot slower than you. And make them run, like get around them.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. Like I've watched a lot of highlights from you through the years, right, and made a lot of the calls, the game night calls, and a lot of times you just coming out of nowhere. I mean, a couple of memorable spots where all of a sudden it was like you just lighting guys up, and I think it was a little bit of that, right? You're just like you're hovering back there, and then you're shooting it when you see that opportunity, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. Let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. Would it be fair to say that you were reluctant lead back last year? I mean, I think a couple of years ago, I remember talking to your dad. He's like, he doesn't want to play offense. He just wants to play defense. But last year, I got a chance to get a lot of reps in the backfield. This year, some depth back there. So with Luke and Max, what's your thought process on the offensive side of the ball?
I'm really excited, like, knowing that you have two other, like, very, very good backs back there who can just, like, I can come off the field, Luke can go for 20 yards, Luke can come off the field, Max can go for 40 yards. Like, it's really exciting to know, like, that you have that safety net. And also, like, you don't have to do as much work.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's the amazing part of it.
Yeah, it would be interesting because, you know, the good game last year was sort of, you know, you could see what the rushing game could happen, and we had some injuries after that. If you get a breakaway run like you did against Good last year, so what do we have to do different on that?
5 points of ball security. Call the ball, wrist above elbow, pin it to your chest, lock the elbow, meat hand in traffic.
That wasn't fair of me. That was not nice of me at all.
We're going to see a lot of meat hand this year. A lot of this. A lot of two hands on the ball.
Anyway, hey, awesome. You've had an awesome career. I'm really looking forward to seeing your senior season. I'm looking forward to you being impactful for all these guys here because I know what you can bring, both, you know, from what example you show, and you know, both athletically but also intellectually, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate your post answers, you know, on the Whitney Young live stream or the Instagram page. So keep up the good work. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Joseph. And maybe real quickly, back to number 33 this year.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, the real reason is I needed a medium for jerk reasons. But I feel like 33 has good juju. So
yeah, it's got good juju. All right. Very good. Thanks a lot, Joseph. I'm going to see if we can grab another guy. Baba Nefesimi Obadele, you're up next.
Yeah. Come get the headset, Bob.
All right. I'm joined by Baba Nefesimi Obadele.
Yeah.
Baba, let's before we talk football, let's talk powerlifting, man. And so you are. Yeah, give me the highlights over the last couple of years. I mean, you've won a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah. I didn't really start powerlifting until like sophomore year of high school. The first year, I wouldn't say it was hard, but it was like it wasn't something I'd done before, and I didn't really know like exactly the rules and regulations.
Move over this way a little bit.
The first meet, I didn't know that. Like what they do is like they have like 3 judges, and you have to listen to the judges' cue. And I didn't know that. I didn't know the cues. So I just like lifted, and they were like, "Oh, you have to wait for the cues," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." So I would just like go up and down with it, and there's like, "Oh, you have to wait for our cue." So they were like, we're not gonna make this we're not gonna count this," and they gave me like 2 extra tries, and I messed up the second one, just like I wasn't used to it. The third one I got it, and I was like, "Oh, so whatever." But this year I was thankfully I was able to compete this year, even though I had like a knee injury. I was able to compete. I was able to get squat 575, bench 335, deadlift 510, I think. Yeah.
Those are crazy numbers. I mean, I was thinking about that. So 575 on the squat.
Yeah.
That's like my entire family. You know that? I mean, that's like Bennett, his sister, his mom, and me on your shoulders, and you just squatted all of us. That's crazy.
Thank you.
That's great. That's great. And so clearly that strength carries over to the football field, right?
Yes.
And you're a guy who plays both ways. Hopefully we can give you a little break once in a while this year. What do you like better, offense or defense?
Honestly, I like defense better. There's a lot of things I have to work on, but I like defense a lot better. I'm better at offense, though. I'm a much better offensive player than I am defensive player.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, you look pretty darn good on both sides of the ball.
Thank you.
Tell me also more about your football experience. And so there was a great article in the Sun-Times last year. I mean, you came to the United States from Nigeria, right?
Yes.
And when did you arrive? How old were you when you were
I was
arrived
10.
to the States?
It was 5th grade, 10 years old.
Okay. And then tell us about coming to Whitney Young and trying out for the football team. What was your expectation?
I had to tell the story a lot. My mom thought it was soccer. So I was here, soccer cleats, like blue Nike soccer cleats. And I came here and I was like, oh, this isn't the soccer that my mom told me. It was like American football. But like, I was like, I might as well do it because I'm here. My dad's not here. So I stayed here the first day and I made a few friends and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. So I kept coming and I told my mom that, it wasn't soccer, it was American football. And she was like, oh, aren't you going to get hurt? I was like, I don't know. Like, I haven't really like done anything that I think would hurt yet. No, that was it. I just fell in love immediately.
Yeah, and actually tell us about what was one of your first positions when you walked on the field at
okay, in all fairness, I had never watched football. I didn't know any positions. The only thing I knew was like Tom Brady was quarterback. So I was like, oh, I just come in and play quarterback, like, because that was the only position I knew. And like for like the first month I was at quarterback, these beefy pads, I couldn't turn my neck, so I would like drop down and like try to throw. It was either overthrown by like 20 yards or like extremely underthrown. It was like no middle.
All right. Well, what I would like, and hopefully something gets play designed, I want to see the ball in your hands at some point during this year, man. Yeah. I think that could be a whole lot of fun. I know in my mind I could draw up some formations for it, but anyway, I mean, awesome. I mean, really excited to see you in your senior season. Hopefully everything health-wise, you'll be ready to go against Hope.
Yeah.
But thanks a lot for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having us on the show.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Baba. We'll just turn around here. Oh, Anthony Hood is next. All right, you got to move over closer to me a little bit, Ant.
Oh, this is weird. I can, like, hear myself and hear
you. You could, yeah, you can. So come over a little bit more. All right, so there's been a lot of conversation from the coaches about Anthony Hood. I went through last night, and I've got some Anthony Hood statistics through the years because am I right about this, that your first game, your freshman year, that you caught a touchdown pass?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then that first year again, it was a COVID year. We had 3 games. During that season, 3 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Your sophomore year, 43 catches, 459 yards, 4 touchdowns. Last year, 25 catches, 303 yards, 4 touchdowns, with a big asterisk because you spent a ton of time at quarterback last year in the second half of the year after Bennett got hurt. Rushing yardage, last year, 41 carries, 234 yards, 3 touchdowns. Year before that, 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. So over the course of your career, you've accumulated 14 touchdowns and throwing in interception yardage, kickoff yardage, 1,638 all-purpose yards. So that's you carrying the team on your back up and down the field 16 different times.
Thank you.
Entering your senior year, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball first. You're a guy that puts in a ton of work in the offseason.
Yes,
you work with Landon Cox, who is sort of the guru of wide receiver coaches in the Chicagoland area and nationally. Tell us some of the things that you work on individually, some of the things that Landon has worked on with you as a wide receiver.
Definitely just going out there and just starting now and taking what the defense gives you. Also being smooth and out of breaks, really dropping that weight and keeping your feet in the ground.
Yeah, so a lot of times, and this is, I've spent some time, thankfully, with you and with Bennett and watching some of this stuff, and I guess in my mind I always thought, wide receiver stuff, they're going to work a lot on, like, catching the ball.
No.
I mean, it's not at all, right? So it's all about your movement, your breaks,
yes.
You're getting off the line. And so what are some of the things that you're looking at for that? Like, what's your first read when you go to the line of scrimmage?
Well, my first read is I just want to run past you. I'm going to go out there and beat you with my speed and catch a deep ball over the top.
All right. What about if I have you going over the middle? What do you think of that?
I got to catch the ball, protect myself, get what I can, you know.
All right. So what are your expectations? And again, you play a lot of different spots, and they try to get you the ball in a lot of different ways. You know, so it's getting the ball past you. It's running out of that wildcat formation. It's probably some jet sweeps or reverses. I don't know. But what are your expectations for the year?
Well, I'm not gonna say too many numbers, but just the main goal this year and what I expect for myself the most is just to be explosive and to make big plays and to really just be there when the team needs me the most.
All right, let's talk about defense. So defense, you are a all-city defensive player the last 2 years. All right, so and you've played a lot at corner, you've played in safety. I think you're going to be moving around a little bit. Coach has talked about the depth that we have, which allow you to not have to play every single down, not every single play. So what are you thinking about on the defensive side of the ball?
I think we're looking good, man. I'm glad that we have enough depth to where we don't have guys having to play both sides of the ball and just getting taking through that fatigue throughout the game. But I'm excited to see it. We got some new guys out there. I'm really excited to see them go out there and experience their first game.
Yeah, I see that. I see a little bit of joy on your face knowing the athletes that'll be back there, which will be a lot of fun. All right, so let's talk about some other things. You're a big game player. You know, Catan being a board game. That what's your normal strategy in Catan?
It kind of varies from game to game. I like getting a lot of points off the board, and really it depends on the current situation.
Okay, yeah, because you're a development card guy sometimes, if the situation warrants. Let's also talk about the guys, you called it Coop, but it's Coup. It's also a card game. It went on, I think, just about the entire year, right? You almost. A lot of the football players and some of the other student athletes at Whitney Young had lunch together very early in the game or in the day. Tell us about what are the different Coup players that are on the team. How would you characterize some of them and how they play the game? And how does that carry over to their personalities?
Let's see. I'll start with number 12.
All right, Bennett Newman, number
Bennett
12.
He was kind of very federal, especially when we first had the Inquisitor. It was just we needed to nerf it specifically because of him. Very federal man, which I guess carries on to him like remembering a lot of numbers and statistics.
Yep.
So, yeah, just a Q encyclopedia basically. Who else on the team?
Alexander Dale. Well, I mean, we can use him. He graduated, but what kind of a Coup player was he?
Not serious at all. He didn't get wins. He was kind of bad. Like it was horrible. Mainly because like everyone would just kill him just because he's Alex. Like it's just.
So that and we do need to talk to Alex. I mean, Alex. So as the big brother, as the senior on the team last year, Alex. Let me just be blunt about it. And take this in a lighthearted, funny way. But he gets bullied. You guys all bully him, right? He's the big brother that everybody looks up to, and these guys just razz. And so Alex would play this game, and they would all gang up on Alex. I would hear this all the time, and Bennett would be giggling at home. We ganged up on Alex today. Oh, you guys so bad. But he's not just Nick's big brother. He's sort of a big brother to all you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Anything else? I mean, what else? How was your summer overall?
My summer, it was very based on a schedule. Like I had a strict schedule that I didn't very often. It was very structured, to say the least.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my summer, definitely.
But you worked hard. I mean, you were working out with Landon. You did a lot of lifting. You clearly had all of the football practice stuff. So you feel ready to go for the season?
Oh, for sure, 100%.
All right. Well, let's take care of business. We'll take care of business next week against Hope, and we'll see you throughout the course of the year.
Yeah,
thanks a lot, Ann.
We'll do.
All right, man.
Anytime.
All right. Let's Jason Perez. All right, move over a little bit, otherwise you're being out of the screen. So we got Jason Perez, senior linebacker and offensive lineman. Let's talk, first of all, the number 52 looks great, man. I mean, it's. Do you think that's it's going to, like, transform you from your 67 last year?
Yeah, 67.
That's kind of like typical offensive lineman. Is this going to bring out the athleticism in Jason Perez?
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of like the change is like kind of like represents the change and like the work I've been putting in the off season to improve myself. So, putting 52, Ray Lewis too.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember at one of the camps you were at this summer, and you're checking in as an offensive lineman, but I think you ran a 4.7. Is that am I exaggerating, or
ran
did
a
you?
4.8.
You ran a 4.8. Let's call it a 4.7. So you ran a 4.7. That's that athleticism for an offensive lineman. That's incredible, and that is a lot of the work you're doing. How do you think that speed? I mean, because you're a right tackle, man. You're going against grown men, right? Some of these guys weighing in at 300 pounds. How do you approach that on a week-over-week basis?
I just feel like depending on like the defense, like if they're bigger guys, be violent, be aggressive, and if they're more speedy guys, rely on the skills you've practiced, like staying fundamentally sound.
All right. And then let's talk about defense. So, you made the switch. Last year playing different line positions.
Yeah.
This year playing that linebacker position. How has that transition been for you?
It's been interesting. I feel like along the most recently, it's been falling into place.
Yeah.
But first few weeks were a little rough, like transitioning. But I feel like I'm starting to get it down. Starting to understand my responsibilities better.
Yeah, what are in that position? What are your key reads when you're out there? What are you looking at? I mean, obviously different play calls, things like that. But what is your main responsibility, and what are you thinking about when you get to the line of scrimmage?
When I'm up there, I'm looking at the quarterback through the end-man of the line of scrimmage, watching his back foot, making sure nothing comes outside. That's really my main priority. Jet sweeps, anything like that, blow it up.
All right. Okay. What are your expectations for the year? I mean, as a freshman, and tell me more about, like, you were a guy that that all of you seniors, that freshman year that you were coming in, it was weird. It was a COVID.
It was really weird.
So you ended your 8th grade year at home, and then we're starting summer practice. And so, what has football meant for you during your time at Whitney Young?
It's honestly changed my life. Like, I feel like it's really transformed me as a person. It's taught me leadership, how to be tough, come in with a good mentality every day to put hard work in. And especially with this program, Coach Finger runs it amazing. It's great.
Yeah, it's the culture here. Everything is very, the different theme days. What's your favorite themed day?
My favorite definitely has to be Find a Way Friday, because like you can always find an excuse, but you got to find that way to succeed.
Yeah, and that's especially key during the season, right?
Yeah,
Find a Way
right.
Friday when you got Friday Night Lights.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm right in this. The Hope game was the first JV game you probably played as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So remember back to that. What was that like? And how have you changed? How has football changed for you since then?
I feel like I've physically, grown a lot, gotten a lot faster, more athletic, and just like that mental aspect. Like I've gotten more like locked into the game. Like I feel like I can like rely on my fundamentals.
What so beyond football, I know you play the guitar.
Yeah.
How is that? I mean, has that been did you play before high school?
No, I actually picked up guitar my sophomore year, and this year I'm going into top grade. So it's been really great.
And what are some of your favorite songs?
Ooh, I love playing Master Puppets. Master Puppets is great. And Seek and Destroy by Metallica.
So this is hardcore. This isn't just like acoustic guitar. You're getting after it.
And then one song that I like is Nobody But You by Sonder. It's an R&B song.
Oh yeah, yeah. Saunders on my list. That's pretty good too. All right, man. You want any shout outs to anyone on the live stream?
Shout out to my family, my mom. Love you. And that's it.
All right, very good. Jason Perez, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, looking forward to your senior year.
All right.
Boubacar, you're on. All right, we got Boubacar Barry.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Hang on a second. Let me just, I'm going to give me another sound check.
Testing.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So Boubacar Barry, senior D-line. You going to get any offensive line time this year? Hopefully not.
Oh, yeah, hopefully not.
I don't mean that for you. I mean
Yeah.
for our other guys to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's very unlikely seeing as how our current offensive line, they're really good, and they're basically built with iron, so they don't really get injured even when they do. They're back like that, so probably not on offense. But, I'm definitely looking forward to defense this year. First year of playing, hopefully. Sophomore year, had an injury. Last year, academically ineligible, so hopefully this year will be good for me.
Well, sophomore year, I remember you made an immediate impact. I feel like within the first series of plays you were in, I think you recovered a fumble.
Yeah.
And you were blowing up the backfield. I can't remember who we were playing, but yeah, you came in and made a difference.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see that again this year. What is I've asked this question to a few guys, and what has football meant for you in your Whitney Young experience as a student athlete?
That's a great question. Football for me, especially as you said in high school, has been a way for me to find peace in life. I get to spend time with people that I care for, get to play a sport that I love. It helps take my mind off of a lot of things that happen outside of school. It gives me a place where I could be myself. Care for others, have others care for me, so it's made a really positive impact on my high school career.
Yeah, that's great. What so outside of football, what are you looking forward to as a senior?
Definitely I'm not going to say easier classes, but more relaxed classes. And at our school, seniors have a lot more freedom, so that's going to be nice. And definitely, graduation. Everybody looks forward to that. You have the luncheon, you have Six Flags, all that. So definitely looking forward to that. The accolades that come with being a senior.
Yeah. Well, you've earned that stuff. So the final lap. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you guys do that. Both looking forward to the football season. Any games specifically on the schedule that you're looking forward to?
Definitely that first game, because first game is always the one where you can make the biggest impact. Show everybody that you mean business and, really earn your spot on the roster.
Yeah, very good. I brought up the game Catan to Anthony Hood. You want to, Boubacar Barry is 1 for 1 in his Catan life,
yes,
right?
I am officially the greatest Catan player of all time. Came to the Newman's house, played for the first time, didn't know how to play the game, and won my first match by, very, pretty immense.
Yeah, absolutely. You just smoked the rest of us. Absolutely smoked the rest of us. So, all right. Well, we're going to see some of that acumen from the Catan board for you in the trenches this year on the defensive line. So we'll look for those contributions. Boubacar Barry.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Dominic Duenas. How are you, man? All right, I got Dom Duenas. You that's on delay a little bit, so you okay. I think we're good right here.
I can't see it at all. So.
Yeah, well, it'll be there. Dominic, senior year, man, it feels like just yesterday you were a running back on that JV team, ripping off big chunks of yardage. Tell me a little bit about your expectations for the year for Whitney Young Dolphins football.
I don't know. I think we'll be better than last year. So I think that's just the least what my expectations are. I don't know what to expect. Hopefully it'll be a great final year.
Yeah. So you're working linebacker position, probably a lot of special teams stuff as well. And you saw a lot of action on that last year. What's it like getting out there? What does it feel like, especially on a kickoff unit? I mean, that's a lot of chaos and violence going on there. What are you thinking about when you're out there?
Looking for the ball and just trying to get the tackle or blocking. Make sure I don't mess up, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I go through life.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, just making sure I got all the assignments down.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So Tell us also about, you've been part of the program your entire time here, right? Did you start as a freshman or as a sophomore?
Started freshman.
Yeah, and a number of those we've talked about the COVID year being a little bit strange. There's only a 3-game schedule. What has Whitney Young football meant for you during your time here as a student?
Something to do. I mean, it's either this or like I would be running cross country.
Yes.
And I hate running, so.
Okay. Well,
running distances like that. So I mean, football is either football or cross country for me because I want to do a sport for 4 years, and it's either football or cross country, and football is more fun. So I ended up doing football, and it's been a great avenue to explore just different opportunities. I've had a great time. It's mostly just for fun. I'm not expecting anything else other than like just going out there and like running around and having fun.
All right. Well, hopefully some more wins this year will make it a lot more fun, and I think we have that in front of us.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the time. All right. Very good. All right. We're going to get a couple other interviews here. We still have Coach Finger at some point. Javon, right? Yeah. All right. So Javon Hobbs, a newcomer to the team this year.
Yeah.
So you played basketball your time here at Whitney Young, and did you play football? Now, so you're going to be a starting cornerback. Did you play football in youth football, or is this your first organized football experience?
Yeah, this is my first organized football experience. But making a switch from basketball to football, it's like a lot more aggressive and contact-wise, but I always liked it. I like being aggressive, like on a basketball court. So it really just transferred to the field. It wasn't too hard of a switch. I always wanted to play. I've always, hanging around with friends. I always played tackle football, no pads. It's now I finally get the chance to play, and I'm ready.
Yeah, and Coach talked a lot. We talked a lot about the addition of you to the team, your athleticism, and even through the practices, getting those other basketball guys, Nas and Rico, coming to the practices, Maxwell Warner. I mean, there's a heck of a lot of athleticism that's part of this team. So you're going to be out there on the island as a cornerback. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to play the tough competition, show the people what I got. I feel like I could do real good, do what needs to be done for the team. I'm really excited to play.
Yeah. Well, and the first week, if you don't know this, I mean, Hope Academy, great opponent.
Yeah.
So they had a kid last year who graduated, Judah Millette, who's at Iowa now. They've got a number of other receivers who will definitely play at the college level. Not to scare you here or anything else. They're fast. They're aggressive. So it will be very fun right out of the gates. The teams that we play, and I mentioned it earlier in the broadcast. I mean, I think the first 3 weeks, Hope, Perspectives, and then Morgan Park. I mean, Morgan Park has a ton of D1 talent on that team as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, it's one of those things that you just have to embrace because that's the schedule, right? So we're going to get after it right away. Tell me a little bit more about you. So basketball, something that you've been playing for a long time. Did you do any AAU stuff or anything like that this summer?
Yeah, I did actually play AAU this summer. I cut it short just a little bit, like a week early, so I could start playing football, get the reps in, start training with everything. Basketball, growing up, the only thing I played, my favorite sport, still got so much love for it, ready to play it later on in the year. But I found a newfound love for this sport too. I love it. Like, it's exciting, it's fun, it's aggressive. Just everything I'm looking for real. I always wanted to play it. It's just I finally get my break to do it now. So I was ready to do it.
All right, man. We're excited to see you out there. Javon, thanks for the time, man.
Thanks.
All right.
For the interview.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, we'll take this from you. I see Luke Yiolich hanging out. Luke. We'll get him in. Luke, you go first. Oh, you're good. All right. Luke Yiolich joining us. So that's on delay. Don't worry about that as long as we're in here. So, Luke, maybe even before we talk about football, let's talk about baseball. All right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, Luke, I think, two-time All-City. So you came in as a freshman, shortstop. You've been a key player on that Dolphins baseball team. Tell us about how this past season went, your summer playing baseball. What's going on in that world right now?
Well, this past season wasn't great. I mean, we struggled a little, but our team's definitely going to get better this spring. You know, it's just one of those seasons where we just got better the more games we played. So, yeah, and then summer ball, it was great. My team, we did really well. We went to a few places like Nashville and St. Louis. We played some good competition. And overall, it was just a great experience for baseball. But it's football season now, so I'm excited for that.
All right, so let's talk about that. So last year football season, I'm just going to adjust this a little bit on you. Yeah, no, you're good. So let's talk about the highlights from last year, right? Highlight for me, probably top 5 all year is you lighting up that guy on that touchdown run against Good.
Yeah.
Tell me about that game and what you were feeling as part of that, because that was really, you played a lot of defense your freshman year. Maybe got a rep or 3 on offense. I don't remember exactly. But then last year in your sophomore year, starting to see what could potentially happen with you in the backfield. So tell me about that game and some of the things you were thinking about from there.
Yeah, for sure. So that game, honestly, like going into before I scored that touchdown, it was low-key a close game. And we didn't think that it was going to be that close. And just me scoring that touchdown really, like, solidified that I can run the ball. I mean, I'm not the best running back, but, like, it's something different than I've always been with just being on the defensive side and special teams. So it really just showed, it really showed the coaches, but mostly myself, that maybe give this running back thing a shot. And it went well. And then, unfortunately, the next week I got hurt. So
Yeah, so Simeon, broken collarbone. I think you broke it on the opening kickoff, right?
Kick return and then just...
And played a few more plays, and then all of a sudden it was a punt return. It was like, what's Luke doing down on the field? And then it didn't look good. How are you feeling now about that? Everything good?
Oh, yeah, everything. I mean, I've gotten a lot stronger. So that surgery, that whole process just made me a better athlete overall. So, I mean, I'm not glad I got injured, but it's definitely an experience that made me stronger overall as a person. I'm excited to see how it's going to shape me as a football player now.
Yeah. We talked offense, talk about defense. So you're back there, you're in that safety position. Maybe some opportunity for even some more plays this year, right? As far as the defense is set up. Talk us through what you're thinking about for this year on the defensive side of the ball, and what your responsibilities are within the defense.
So my responsibility, is just nothing over my head. I mean, me and Quinn, we're safeties. We're playing a little more back than we usually were. When Coach Malik was here, we were like kind of like in the box with we're like a hybrid of a linebacker and a cornerback. But now we're just, we're the last line of defense. So, if tackles don't get made, that's why we're there. Or if balls get past, if wide receivers get past like corners and linebackers, then that's why we're there. So, we're just basically that last wall. So that's what we are. So, I'm excited because Quinn's a good ball player too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys bring a ton of speed, and neither one of you are afraid of making a tackle.
No,
right?
For sure. Nope, not at all. So
that's good. You put in a lot of work. I know that because baseball is a year-round sport for you. Football is a year-round sport for you.
For sure.
Tell me about your normal day, like during the season, because I know that you come in and you do a lot of early lifting, things like that. Tell our fans what it's like to be Luke Yiolich.
All right, so during school, during the school year,
sure.
So I probably would wake up, eat some breakfast, go to the weight room in the morning, freshen up for school, and then football practice, obviously, and then sometimes our school has a batting cage outside, so then get a few cuts there, probably get home at 8 or 9, and then rinse and repeat. So nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary, but it's
well, I don't know. I think it's crazy out of the ordinary. Because I've seen your dad throwing you soft toss in the cages after football practice, knowing that you already lifted in the morning. So
yeah.
For guys like me, I would do that one day, and I would need 3 days off to recover from that.
Yeah,
the upside of all that is that the girls don't like you, so you don't really. That's just a joke. The girls like Luke Yiolich. Let's just let's put that on the record.
No comment.
Very good. And then I think the other thing about you, I always hear about these lunches that you bring in.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like you got, so Bennett's always getting like a turkey sandwich, and he's like, "Oh, Luke Yiolich brings in all these great lunches." So clearly, somebody in your family knows how to make some food.
That's all my mother. I mean, my siblings are out of town for college, so I mean, all the food goes to me. So I mean, we have a lot of leftovers. So, I mean, I'm trying to impress the lunch table. So, and you got a fuel. So that's my fuel for today, and it works. It works a lot. It works good. So
very good. Tell us more. Also, I mean, you come from an athletic family. What has Whitney Young and the athletic program, both football and baseball, what have they meant for you as a person?
I mean, they meant a lot. I mean, my uncles, they played here. They played basketball. They swam. They played football, and it just means that like I'm kind of carrying the legacy, and it's just really important for me to be a part of, even if it's not football or baseball, just an athletic group, an athletic sports team in the school. And it's just really, I mean, it's fun. I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of good relationships with the coaches and the players, the parents like you, Mr. Newman. So I mean, I'm not planning on quitting or not doing any of that time soon. So hopefully this carries on to the next level for college. And yeah, I'm grateful to be a part of this school's athletic programs.
Well, we're grateful to have you part of the program.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate
Mr.
it.
Newman.
All right,
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Luke.
You.
Wow, thank you, Mr.
I think we have Quinn Duhan who's meditating behind me right now. Let's see if we can grab.
Just like this?
You got it, man.
There we go.
So, Quinn, I was looking I had stats printed out from last year, and as I go through this, Quinn Duhan, second leading receiver on the team. Quinn Duhan, I don't know, do you know this stuff? Do you know that in tackles? Do you know where you finished in tackles?
I was tied for first, right?
Yeah, you were tied for first with Joseph. You know who you were one ahead of?
Alex Dale?
Yeah. I think that we should make sure that Alex is well aware that you and Joseph both had more tackles than him. Your name has been brought up a ton through both coaches, just talking about what you bring to this team. So let's start on the defensive side of the ball, right? I mean, so that's something, and we just had your safety partner Luke Yiolich talking.
Right. Yeah.
I called your name out 115 times last year, at least, right? Because that was 115 tackles. That's a lot. I mean, we played 9 games last year. That's over 10 tackles a game. You can probably, as IBM Quinn, you could do that math in your head. I just have to estimate, knowing that it's over. But tell us about defense and what kind of mentality you bring to it and what approach you bring to it on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I think always, we go through our pursuit drills, and it's always just get to the ball. During team, you're getting to the ball or you're doing up-downs. And so in games, I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to always get to the ball. And I'm trying to use my angles to make tackles, and I think that really helps me out. But in terms of mentality-wise, just once you're at the point of attack, I'm not the biggest guy, so I always like to go low. I get called an ankle biter a lot. Me and Luke do get made fun of for our ankle tackles, but they work, and just not being afraid to throw yourself in there and get it done, So that's what I'm trying to do all the time.
And what about the offensive side? I think Coach Eddie called you the gadget guy, right? So a lot of plays, a lot of opportunities for you. I know that you're learning multiple positions, multiple receiver positions, both the F and the Z, I think now is on your plate. Talk to me about that, because that's something that you've been doing, and again, go back, that was your sophomore year last year, you're going to be junior this year. Freshman year, you played a lot of special teams, got 4 catches, 40 yards against Simeon.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that been as well? Now you're coming into your junior year as a wide receiver.
Yeah, obviously you're talking about F and Z. We got a lot more depth this year, so I don't have to be doing as much necessarily. So I can really just get out there and be put into certain situations. I'm like a big jet sweep kind of guy or big bubble guy where I can really get the ball and make some moves in open field. And that's where the gadget part comes in that Coach Eddie was talking about. But yeah, I'm just trying to make plays, do what the coaches need me to do, learn different positions, like you said. I've been at F for a long time, that slot guy, and I like F. And then Z is cool because you're really getting opportunities for guys to make plays with the spacing that you're creating at Z. So, yeah, really just trying to contribute and help plays happen, you know?
Yep. So we talk a lot on the broadcasts about your Akron DNA. You come from a football family, right? Is it something that you always knew as a kid that is that you wanted to play high school football?
No, I actually didn't. My dad broke his back playing high school football. So for the longest time, it was a little bit of a taboo, you know. I played soccer, right? Coach Finger likes to make fun of me for it. But I didn't really think I was going to play football, but I played a lot of flag football at my elementary school. And I just always had so much fun just running around, playing football with my friends. And, you know, I got to high school and I said, well, you know what, why not do tackle football? Because I love the game. I was always a big Madden guy, so playing football was really cool for me. And, yeah, no, it definitely wasn't a sure thing, but having my dad be an experienced football player, it's like he coaches me through things, and it's really fun to be able to play the sport.
All right, well, it's fun to have you around. So we talked offense, defense. I mean, special teams. I'm guessing you're going to be getting some action in on kick and punt returns.
I will, yeah. Returning, I'm hoping I can take a couple to the house.
Yeah.
I was close last year.
You were very close last year, yep.
But yeah, hoping for a good year.
Did you take one and we got it called back, or was it just, it was against
no,
Good, right?
I had a 50-some yarder against Good, but I couldn't make it to the end zone. So I'm hoping I'll make it to the end zone a couple times.
So I'm trying to put all this, and Good, there's also an interception, right?
Good, there was a pick 6 that got called back.
Right,
so that was,
that's right.
The pick still counted, but
yeah.
But no touchdown, unfortunately.
All right. What are you looking forward for the season? What's most exciting for you when you think ahead to
for the season,
2023 year? Yeah.
I'm ready to bounce back. I think everyone on this team can tell you that last year was really disappointing. Not what we wanted to do, and I'm ready to get back out there and win some games. You know what I mean?
All right. I like that answer, man. Absolutely. All right, Quinn. Also. So aside from football, you've told me a little bit about this in the past, but you, end of school, I don't know, was it a Richmond thing? You had a little, your walkabout.
Oh,
tell us about that. Like why, and tell us what it was and why you wanted to do it and what you think you gained out of it.
All right, yeah. So my dad read this book called The 12-Hour Walk, and I didn't read it. I probably should have. But it was about this guy who is talking about how you can, like, take this one day out for yourself to, I guess the whole deal was to kind of, like, embrace who you are and, like, change up your routine to be, like, a better person. Again, I didn't read the book, so I probably could have been more informed going into it. But so I heard about my dad reading this book, and I decided, hey, that might be a cool thing to do. So I just decided to go on this 12-hour walk. I got into it, and it was not so great.
About what hour?
Yeah, so I actually had a lot of people get really surprised when I tell them that I was enjoying it for the first 5 hours. At hour 6, my knee started hurting. It wasn't great. And I really started regretting it. But I'm not a quitter, so I kept
Akron
going.
DNA, man.
Yeah, right. I did all 12 hours. But yeah, I didn't get out of it the better person maybe that the book might have said.
So where did you walk?
Well, I was really disappointed. I didn't even walk a full marathon. I only got about 25 miles. But I would walk.
You were walking pretty slow, man.
I was walking pretty slow. But I walked I would just go down my house. I went downtown, went along the river walk. Went along the lake a bit. I was going a bit of everywhere.
All right, so your advice to people on this 12-hour walk?
Yeah, I would say probably don't do it.
Read the book, don't do the walk.
Read
right?
the book. Read the book, for sure.
All right. Well, cool. Thanks a lot, Quinn. Appreciate the time
right.
spending with it. Looking forward to seeing you on the field this year.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, man. Some point here, I think we got most of the seniors. I'm going to see if we can get Coach Finger to sort of cap us off here. Hey, Coach OD, do we know where Coach Finger is right now? Yeah, I would love to see if we could get him. Cepeda, you want to be on? You want to jump in on an interview? All right. We're trying to get Coach Finger here. We're going to have Juan Cepeda join us. All right, you got to move over here a little bit so you're in screen. So, Juan, you've been brought up a number of times today talking about your skills on the offensive line. We're going to talk about what you've done on the defensive side. Before we get into any of that, your nickname is Buster.
Yeah.
Where does the nickname Buster come from?
I got it when I was a baby, like a newborn. When I was at the hospital. My mom was like out for a couple of days, and when they came back to come get me, they're like, "Where's Juan?" Where's Juan? They're like, "We don't have a Juan," and they're like, "What do you mean? I just had a kid here the other day," and then they're like, "Oh, you mean Buster?" So the nurses nicknamed me Buster because when I was born, I always had like a mean face, like I always had like a scrunched up face, like I was about to mess somebody up. So on my like name bracket thing, it was Buster Cepeda, and it was, yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah, I heard that story from your mom. So I think you were in the IC, you were a preemie, right? You were born prematurely, so you were in and she was having her recovery a couple days before she could even come to see you. And I think that she did not like that name, right? Like she was not happy with it to start with.
She was upset because mom's very proud of she's very proud of Hispanic, and me being named Juan, like Juan Miguel is my whole first name. So she was very upset that they covered it up with Buster, but it's grown on her over time.
Yeah. So because and that was the first thing I remember when somebody was talking. Like I always knew you as Juan Cepeda, and one of the managers was like, "Well, what about Buster?" Blah blah. And I'm like, "Who's Buster?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's Juan Cepeda." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." So you've played since day one here, right? You're a freshman. You came in and you were a starting offensive lineman.
Yeah.
How has that experience been for you? And what does it mean now? You're a junior. You've had 2 full seasons. I mean, if you think back to where you were as a freshman and where you are now, what has that transformation been like?
Freshman year, like I was definitely just got thrown in with, not gonna say the wolves, but basically the wolves. I didn't know what was going on really, but if I had to say like the difference between freshman year and now is being a day one starter on varsity, I've had a lot more time to grow than other kids. So I could definitely see like when I'm playing against other teams, I could like feel like a little bit, like I have a little bit of an edge over the other person if they're just like a junior on their first year or anything like that. Like, I feel like I feel like it made me a little bit more mature, if I would say it.
Mm-hmm.
Shorter.
And then you're a guy who plays on both sides of the ball, right? So tell us that do you have a preference, offense versus defense?
I think offense wastes a lot less energy, but I like defense. Like I've gotten to grow more this year on defense. I'll find out during the season which one I like more. But right now, I really like being a guard. I like pulling and all that, so I'm gonna say offense.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that gives you on space. So, health-wise, hopefully we got you there. I know you got dinged up a little bit, and you've been dinged up a little bit all summer, one way or another, right?
Yeah.
But knee is feeling better and progressing well. So hopefully we'll see you out there for Friday.
Yeah, I really want to be out there.
Yeah. All right. Well, very good. Thanks, man. Appreciate the time. All right. I'm still trying to see if I can get Coach Finger, but if not, I'll jabber to some of these people for a little while longer. And
okay, I'm gonna see if I can get him.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Juan. All right. So I appreciate everybody out there getting to meet our Whitney Young Dolphins across the board. Try to have you talk to a number of the different seniors and some of the juniors who have been longtime starters on varsity. Hoping to get Coach Finger and maybe Coach Dale. So Alex Dale, if we don't get him, he was a major contributor last year, all-state linebacker and tight end, and still part of the program. We got Nick Dale. All right. See, I like this. See, I was just channeling. Oh, and then we have Coach Finger after that, which would be great. So Nick, get on over here. You're not on screen right now. That's on delay, so you'll see it in a second. So I got Nicola Dale, starting center, starting defensive lineman.
Yep.
Nick, that was your other offensive line mate. You guys have both, since day one, been starters, contributors on the offensive line as part of the Whitney Young program. What are you looking at for this year, and what do you think from your freshman year to now going into your junior year? What has been your progression as a football player?
All right. So for what I'm looking for this year is I want to go downstate, right? I mean, I guess that's the goal every year. But I'm looking for the line to be I feel like this is our best line we're gonna have, probably for my time here at least, right? Because we're gonna lose Bob and Jason. That's gonna be a struggle. But I'm looking to see a good run game, a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns. I want to have a good season.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot, and some of it last year. We had a couple key injuries early, had to move some guys around. I really think that our upside from an offensive line and a running game perspective is what we showed at good last year, right? We brought it up a number of times. You had Joseph, you had Luke that both had big games. Anthony had a big game running the ball out of the Wildcat. Now you add Max to that equation as well. As an offensive lineman, do you have a? I'm gonna move you over here a little bit so you're let all the people see you, right? What do you have a preference, run game versus passing game?
I'm better. I would say I think I'm better at pass game. I like pass game, but I feel like run game is more fun. Like when you score, because you feel like you did more. Like pass game, you just do your thing. You don't really move too much, right? Run game, you can have a very big effect. I guess a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's different. Like pass game, you rarely get like pancakes and stuff, right? I'm not about pancakes, right? It's fun though when you get one, right? But I feel like if you score in a run game, you get like a 60-yard rushing touchdown. For the offensive line, it feels a lot better than a 60-yard passing touchdown, because that's really more the quarterback receiver. You just got to give the time to the quarterback, right?
Yeah, you're just protecting Bennett's life, which I appreciate.
Which is very important to me, right? So
yeah, and you're a guy that takes this stuff personally. Yeah, I really appreciate that about your approach to the game. So not to make this an Alex show, because we talk about that guy way too much. But your big brother graduated. He's going off to Northwestern. What's it going to be like in the Dale household when you got that guy moved out of there?
It's gonna be a lot more space. It's gonna be nice. I'll miss him a little bit. He always had helpful tips for me and stuff, but he's only like 30 minutes away, so I imagine he'll be here at the house bothering me quite often.
Yeah, I talked to him. I mean, he has – so the thing about Alex, he's going into his freshman year at Northwestern. He's coaching the team here. He was saying about how his classes were set up and how he's going to get back. But he's like, I got to think, Alex Dale, you're also going to be a freshman in college. You may not the whole idea of coaching your brother, your alma mater's team on Friday nights, you might have a couple other things that may pop up as priorities. Tell me about your summer. I know that you made a trip to Serbia.
Well, it was nice. I wanted to see my grandparents, but it was also unfortunate. Like I was telling my mom, like I can't go. I can't miss practice, right? And
we don't dwell on that. Just tell us about it. I think it's cool. I mean, you're half Serbian. Your mom's Serbian. You have a lot of family there.
So it was nice. I got to see my grandparents. I haven't seen them in like 5 years, and that was awesome.
There was some good shots of you on the beach.
Oh yeah, my brother was playing games with me. That was unfortunate. But the beach was really nice. It's always super nice over there. It was really fun, and it was good to see my grandparents again.
Very good. What about from on the school side? I mean, I know that the Dale family, you guys are smart. What's your class load looking like this year? What classes are you looking forward to? Which ones are you scared of?
It's looking a little heavy this year. I got AP Chem, AP Calc, AB. AP Physics 2, and AP Lang. Then I have a study hall, ethnic studies, and I got PE with lifestyle activities. I want to do yoga, but I didn't get in.
Oh yeah, yoga's a pretty popular class within the football team.
I'd say for the classes I'm excited for is probably like Physics 2 and ethnic studies, and the class I'm scared of is AP Chem. My mom made me do that one because she's a chemist, and all that. So it's gonna be a little rough, but I think I can handle it.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. I'm sure that you can. I mean, you take things on, you handle it. You're a big part of this team. Tell me more about also, what it means for you being part of this football team and what it means sort of, as you're walking down the hallway at Whitney Young. Does it matter that you're on the football team? I mean, not to everybody else, but to
for
your
me,
teammates.
I mean, I feel like it's a big part of high school, right? Like every day you're in school and it's not fun. You're just sitting there and dying, right? But then you come to practice and you're feeling depressed. But after like an hour of playing, you're all excited and you got your energy, your blood's flowing. And I feel like it's like having a second family, right? Like you have your freshmen and sophomores, and they're like your little brother, right? And then you got the seniors who you look up to, right? And so it's like they're your friends, but they're also like your family. Like you spend almost your entire high school time with them, right? Spend probably more time with them than with my actual family. So
yeah.
So it means a lot to me.
Oh, that's great. And I know that it means a lot to your family. Your dad and mom are both big supporters of the program. We see them in the stands. So excited to get 2023 going.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to a big season for all of us. Big season for Am, big season for Bennett, big season for me, I hope. It's got to be the start. I feel like this is the year. I really hope so.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of things. I mean, we got some challenges early in the schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole schedule is tough, right?
It's
I've
tough.
talked to everybody today on the broadcast about 6 of those teams were state qualifiers.
Mhm.
You got a bunch of talent in there, but I think we match up pretty well. And you never know. It's high school football, so you don't know what some of these teams are going to have.
I really feel like our advantage is on the line this year. A lot of lines last year that we played were seniors.
Yep.
And I've been talking to people like friends, and then they have friends on other teams, and a lot of their lines were seniors and leaving. And I have a good feeling about us this year because we are on the up, and I think this is going to be our peak right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I was watching some of the stuff on social media, I mean, some of those teams that we played last year, I mean, both Taft and Lane graduated over 20 guys on their teams, and those were those lines. I mean, Taft was an all-senior line, a bunch of guys that are playing at the next level. So I agree with you. I mean, I think that the tide is turning, and that our line, and I appreciate that. That's going to be a huge part of what we do this year. Nick, thanks, my man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to see if I can get Coach Finger to jump in here. Oh, I got Barry Gordon. All right. Oh, and I got Coach Dale. BG3, get on in here. All right, so then slide over a little bit so we're in the camera view here. I got BG3, Barry Gordon III. Barry, all right, let's jump into it on the offensive side of the ball because you're going to be getting some reps at I guess what do we call it technically in this offense? The
H.
The H. That's right. I couldn't remember my alphabet. So tell me about that. I mean, that's something you played as on a JV team, and now you're getting a bunch of reps on it. So think about what's it mean on the offensive side of the ball to be out there a little bit more.
I know people say the H or the tight end traditionally is your sixth lineman pretty much, who also gets to go out there and catch some balls. I've been working a lot on blocking. You know, it's something I've never done before. And going back to the JV level, I only got a few reps. I was mainly a DN guy there, and then I played that sophomore year. But now I'm transitioning into H and outside linebacker. So it's really exciting to do something new. It's always something I've always wanted to do more. And this summer I've been working on it, and it's just been fun.
Yeah. And so you mentioned the outside linebacker. So that's also you were on the line last year. How is that different? I mean, I think it suits you great. You know, I can remember we were just talking with Nick about that offensive line at Taft and the size of those guys. And I remember seeing your dad after the game, and he was talking about it. And I'm like, hey, all those guys, those are like all-state guys. It's an all-state lineman, also an all-state wrestler, that Krupa kid. And he's like, oh, man, I feel a lot better about it now. I mean, you were going against some much older, bigger guys, and you held your own. Now you're moving from the D-line to that linebacker spot. tell me what you're thinking, what your expectations are for the year.
For sure. Last year I loved playing DN. Sometimes it would get a little frustrating, Krupa, big guy, 6'3", 270.
Yeah.
And I was last year a good 175. I lost a lot of weight last year. Now I'm back to 195, 200. Feel like it's more comfortable being outside linebacker. I'm definitely reprising some of my roles from last year. I'll go out on a blitz sometimes. If not, I can drop back in coverage. Say it's pretty fun too. But yeah, it's always fun to do something new, something I want to do as well, and whatever's best for the team, wherever they need me.
Yeah, you've always been that guy, right? I mean, sure. It's been fun to watch your progression. Your dad went to Whitney Young, right? So there's the history there is great.
Yeah.
So fun to have you as part of the program. What and I've asked this question to a lot of guys, and it's like, because I've seen it, but it's like, what does football mean to you? What does being part of the Whitney Young Dolphins football program mean to you?
Man, I wouldn't want to be part of any other program than here. I mean, live down the block. I've always wanted to play here ever since like 4th grade maybe. I love it here. It's been my dream school. And being part of this team, being part of this family, this brotherhood, it means everything to me. I mean, it's the reason I show up every day here, just for them.
Yeah.
Never think about myself. I always put them first. It's a team game, so.
Yeah, no, that's a great mentality to have. What so beyond football, what are some of the other things? You're heading into your junior year. I was just asking Nick about his class schedule. You got any classes on there that you're looking forward to? Anything that you're not looking forward to?
For sure. AP Gov, and then AP Seminar, AP Environmental Science, and then dual credit African American Literature. I'm excited for that one. I'm doing film and video for my arts credit, and then yoga, and then trigonometry. Math's never been my strong suit, so I'm gonna put extra focus into that this year. And yeah, those APs, 3 and then 1 dual credit class. I only pick the ones that I'm gonna enjoy doing, and I'm not gonna do like AP Physics. I know Nick and Quinn, guys like that. They're super good at math. That's not me. I'm more of a social studies.
Yeah. Moving this way a little bit, we got you off screen, but I always find it amazing listening to these things. I mean, you guys, we talk, I think, a lot about you as football players, but also everything that you're doing in the classroom and those course loads, putting on top all this stuff. And so credit to all of you guys. Credit to Coach Finger for doing what he does, but credit to you guys for being the student athletes you are and bringing it. So appreciate it, man. Really looking forward to your year this year, seeing you out there. Thanks a lot, Barry.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. It looks like I've got Coach Dale heading my way. All right, let's make sure we're in screen here. I think, we got to get a little closer. Everybody's a little afraid of me. Alex Dale, Coach Dale. How does that feel? How does Coach Dale feel as a title? And are these guys, are they giving you the respect you deserve as their coach?
I feel like when it's me and the guys alone, they have their fun, the same stuff. Like it's still Alex Dale on the football team, but when it's the younger guys around and we're getting into practice and I'm leading warm-ups or I'm having them do individual, they respect me and they're really helpful and helping learn. They call me Coach Dale, not Squish, or Coach with obscenity, something like that. But and then Coach Dale, it feels a little weird, but I mean, it's kind of like I was doing this sort of same thing last year with a lot of the guys, so now it just has a title. I'm not just a leader helping the guys learn, but now it's an actual title.
Yeah, I mean, you. I've said it before. It's like you're the big brother for this entire team, which for better or for worse, right? I mean, I think you take a lot of grief from these guys, but I think it's because they love you, they respect you, and I know you have a lot of close friends on this team. Talk to Joseph a little bit about his time in the lab with your mom. I mean, so is what's he like in the lab? Is he like a linebacker in the lab? Is he just knocking things over and messing up cell structures and stuff, or does he bring some talent to it?
Joseph is Joseph. I mean, I think he stays Joseph no matter what he's doing, except if my mom is in the room. He gets a little scared. I know he's a little scared of my mom. So that was weird. I haven't seen Joseph as a very respective to authority person, but with my mom, he was, yes, ma'am. He's sitting there. He actually had a pretty big responsibility. My mom called it the fate of the universe responsibility. He had to bring the cells, the crystals that we had made, the crystal structures with proteins. He had to deliver them to the airport to one of my mom's graduate students, and he's gonna me and Joe are gonna be published in a if published, will be a groundbreaking experiment. So we will be in a paper as high school students. So that will be amazing if it gets done, which it should be.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. So.
And for Joseph also, he did have some natural talent when it came. We were doing some spectra readings, and he had the best results almost consistently. He was always between me in the middle between me and one of my mom's other students. So.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, we always knew that Joseph was a talent. We always knew you were a talented guy. We thought that maybe just Joseph was, on your lab coattails, right? You guys you get to wear like lab coats, right? Officially.
There's lab coats in the lab, but we don't really wear them that often. There's not much dangerous stuff in the lab that we're working with, so you can have your normal shirt and everything. But Joseph had to learn a lot. He had biology and COVID, and apparently slept a lot through chemistry. So he had a lot of learning to do. And my mom she expects fast learners. There's a steep hill to climb. She expects you to put in some work after hours to try and learn things. But
I know the expectations in the Dale family are.
Yeah.
They're up there. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember you getting punished for like Nick losing his phone or something like that. It's
Yeah.
That's good. Keep it in the family. So you're on to Northwestern, which is near and dear to me. Tell me about that overall process, because I know that pretty cool. I mean, you were getting a lot of different opportunities at some other schools as well. Ultimately, what was the decision there?
Well, for my seniors, if they watch this live stream or they go back and look at it, follow your heart. Things change so much, and especially. I thought I wanted to go super far. I thought, California, that was going to be it for me, go to USC. I got a really nice scholarship, but, then, the scholarship didn't end up bringing the money down at all. They have a set number, and they don't let it change. So you can get a scholarship or anything. And Northwestern, they gave me a full tuition paid, covered. I would be going for free if I wanted to stay at home with my mom or my dad and commute to college, which I didn't want to do. I did not.
I wanted to get to college, man.
I wanted to get the Northwestern experience, and Northwestern's something I've been familiar with. Being a Chicago kid, you see it all the time, and Northwestern campus is beautiful. It's an amazing campus, and the only thing I could change about Northwestern is maybe move it just a tiny bit farther away from home. But,
I think you're going to find, because I went there, I was 2 hours away from home. There's a lot that goes on there, and that's the interesting thing about Northwestern too, because everybody's from all over the country and the world, right?
Yeah.
And so it really isn't something where a lot of people are leaving on the weekends.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the perfect distance. It's going to be the perfect distance. You're gonna, they'll learn that they're not just going to drop in on you on a certain night.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward. And what are you majoring in there?
I am majoring in biology, so. Northwestern's really interesting how they do majors. You don't really declare a major till your sophomore year. So, they give you a lot of time to learn and figure out what you want to do. I'm not really sure yet where I want to go in the biology field. As of right now, it's probably somewhere in cancer biology, that direction. But I guess one more advice I would give to my seniors is, some schools have high ratings, but make sure you look at, what they provide for you as a person. Resources that they give. Northwestern devotes a lot of money to student mental health. They put a lot of money in for student resources. There's lots of activities you can do on top of being one of the best universities in the world. So I think that's something to look at. Make sure there's something nice for you there. You could find it like it's home, because it's going to be your home for the next 4 years.
All right, man, that's good. I'm going to send that to President Schiff. He can put that out there on the recruiting tape for Northwestern. Before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about you as a coach, what kind of responsibilities you think you have, what you'll be doing on a game-by-game basis?
Well, I feel like as a coach, I bring something more unique as I've played with a lot of these guys before. I can serve as almost like a sort of intermediary between coaches and players. Complaints that they might be scared to bring up straight to the coaches, I feel like players are comfortable coming to talk to me. Maybe they're scared. They don't want to look bad in front of the coaches. They think it might hurt their position in certain things. A lot of players come up to me asking questions. What should they do then? What should they do this? Like in certain situations. Yeah. And then with the inside linebackers, I was an inside linebacker. That was sort of my responsibility. Coach OD really wanted me to emphasize we have a new linebacker system. We don't use a gap scheme anymore. We don't have like a designated A and B gap for linebackers or like that. We have, our work and non-work linebackers, and I've been doing a good job emphasizing that to the linebackers. It's a new system and gives them a lot of freedom and fun to play around. We have playmakers in the linebacker position, play very fast, very downhill, very instinctual. Joseph Gray made some really good tackles yesterday, and it was really impressed me. And Joseph, will be the little spark plug he always is in the game. So, I'm just, I can't wait to see Joseph step up as a leader. He's going to have to be the middle linebacker, I expect a lot from him and Quinn in terms of leading the defense and being vocal. That's what I really want to see. That's where I feel like Joseph's always been an amazing player, but now I want to see him take that next step and start, calling things out, devoting himself to some film, and really leading that defense. When everything gets hard and you want to throw your helmet down, you got to be that guy that the guys look to. And I can't wait to see what Joseph does this season with that.
All right, man. I'm excited as well.
Yeah.
Alex, thanks a lot. Appreciate spending time with us today, man.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you around. I'm going to see if I can get Coach Finger here.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap it up. But thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great having you as part of the Dolphin program.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Coach Finger. Coach.
All right. If you've hung in there through the course of the day, we're going to cap it off with a conversation with Coach Dan Finger. We'll make sure that
he's got a big head.
He does. He's Alex Dale. There's a lot of brain in there. So slide over just a little bit to make sure that we're in frame. That's delayed, so it'll be on. Coach Finger, I have had an amazing time today talking to your coaching staff, talking to all these players that have been part of this program for a long time. You held a parents' meeting last week, and it was interesting. We were coming home. My wife said to me, it's not really just a football program. It's a culture. It's an experience.
Good. I like
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's, I talk about it a lot, but there are some kids who can use Winnie Young football as a springboard to college football and pursue their dreams of professional football maybe. But for the vast majority of high school football players, it's the last time they're going to put on pads is senior day and or a playoff game or whatever it is their senior year. So for us, it's all about, like, who are they becoming every day at practice and what are they getting out of it beyond, the college scholarship or an opportunity to play college ball, because for 95% of high school football players across the country, it's really something else. It needs to be a rewarding experience. It needs to be a transformative experience, and it needs to turn that kid into an adult, really. And really, we talked about it at the parent meeting, but football develops, delayed gratification, and there is no other team sport that builds that accountability. Like, yes, you're relying on teammates in other sports, but you don't respect the scout team player like you do in football. Like, that guy, nobody else knows, right? He may never see a single snap on Friday nights, but he's playing his butt off every day at practice, and nobody else appreciates that besides the guys who are at practice every day. So just making sure, as head coach, that every kid has an opportunity to learn something about themselves and to grow every day. And that's really the mission. And so, trying this out, we really appreciate you, by the way, for being here and helping support this. I know this is our first time doing it. So it's been a lot of fun. Some of the kids are naturals in front of the camera, man.
They are. I had to steal the headset from a few of them because otherwise.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's and I probably fit into that category as well. So
No. Let's talk. You've got a few key themes that I want to bring up, and one is family. Tell us about that word, that phrase, and what that means, and how that is integrated into this program.
Definitely. So, when I was playing here, it was a brotherhood, and I've found that as we've tried to grow the program in numbers and impact and reach, that we want to include as many people as possible, and that's not just boys and dads and brothers, but it's our managers who are women, some of our players are women, the mothers, the sisters who help support this program. So we wanted to expand beyond that brotherhood, and then we wanted it to be involving everyone. We wanted this to be a vehicle for sons and fathers to bond, for moms and sons to bond, for siblings to bond, all that. And then we also use the acronym family for Forget About Me, I Love You. Our core values in the program are sacrifice and service. I think if young people are really, really taught those things early and can work on them and hone them in sort of low-risk settings, they come easy when their spouses or their parents or their whatever it is later in life, employees, employers, they're going to be successful if they can learn to sacrifice. So Forget About Me. And then I Love You is the service component. And we deal with brilliant young people, and I know you've heard me say this before, Barry, but it's never about thinking less of themselves, right? It's not forget about me, eliminate my personality, eliminate what makes me unique and special. It's thinking about ourselves less. It's just directing that incredible focus that all these kids have, the intellect and the power of their minds towards others, and recognizing how they can impact others. And then the I Love You part, and then acting in love, acting in service. And so that's our family acronym, and we try and introduce that with our daily themes. We've got today is Set the Expectation Saturday, which is all about preventing violence against women, and I'm a big believer in starting that young and just teaching young boys especially how to talk about women and how to treat women and how to when I was a kid, people talked about things like sexual violence, like rape, in joking ways, and that was kind of just the norm, especially in violent sports and hockey and football. I grew up playing those too, and it's just not acceptable. And if we're really going to prevent that stuff, it's going to be men who have to do that, right? And so that's another part of figuring out how we can serve others and using our power in the program. And I can go on and on and on about it, Barry. So I don't want to spend all day here, but. Yeah, I mean that's sort of our mission, and that's what it really boils down to. And we're going to win some games, and we might lose some games this year. But if we do all that, if each kid comes home different and better than he was before practice, then we've done our job.
Yeah, great. So let's talk a little bit about the season. And if we start and we just talk about the schedule, I went through it last night. Those first three opponents. I think their winning percentage last year was .848.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got Hope that had one loss. I think Leadership Perspectives had 2, and Morgan Park had 2.
Yep.
So right off the bat, we're going to start with some really talented opponents. And then if you look at the course of the schedule, I looked at it as like 6 of those teams qualified for state last year.
Yep.
So this is what do you think about when you're looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, we get some say CPS has restructured the way the football conferences are going to work this year. So we got moved around a little. So we've got fewer technically conference games. We're calling them clusters this year. And then we've got a few crossover games. So those are out of our control. But then we've got the 2 non-conference, and we had our contract with Hope dating back to last year, so we're going to their place week 1, and we're excited about that. They're a great team, 11-1 last year, and a lot of good returning players. And then we decided to schedule Perspectives, who was really, really good last year, state playoff team, and we just wanted another challenge. We didn't want to go too far for it, but we wanted to play a team that was going to give us a look, because our goal this year is to make a state playoff run, and so we're going to have to see those teams sooner or later, and we want to make sure we're ready when we got to face them later in the season. So, and then Morgan Park is a CPS power. When I was in high school, they were sending kids all over the place, and they are now again. And CJ, the head coach down there, has done a great job with that program, his alma mater. So a lot of respect for them too. And we're going to take it one day at a time at practice. And we haven't really even talked too much about any opponent, because we got a lot of talented kids coming back, and if we focus on ourselves every day in practice, we're going to be in really, really good shape.
Yeah, I agree. So maybe, and I did talk to both coordinators, and we kind of went through the different areas. Maybe just a high-level view from your perspective. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball.
Okay.
What are some of your expectations? What are some of the key players or key things that you have to get done on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with replacing Alex Dale, who was a pretty important piece of our whole schematic structure for the past few years. That we don't have a player quite like him. He was an all-state linebacker last year, all-city tight end the past 2 years. So, we're reworking that position. We call it an H. It's going to look different this year. It's not going to be as in line. It's not going to be as violent in the run game in terms of blocking, and we're going to use it a little different. But we're excited to see how Barry Gordon and Harrison Gassa and a few other guys work in at H. But besides that, we're really excited about the O-line coming back. Everybody who took a snap at O-line last year is coming back. So we're looking forward to building on that, and then in the backfield as well. All of our running backs, our quarterback is back, healthy, and we're excited to have a really good rotation as those guys get older. Our 3 running backs, Joseph Clayton, Maxwell Warner, and Luke Yiolich, all healthy and ready to go. And then at receiver, we've been talking about a lot as a staff. We're kind of blessed with some riches there. We're trying to figure out how to get guys on the field because we've got some really good athletes and nowhere to put them because we bring back so much depth. So we're excited. Obviously, Anthony Hood, all-city player, past 2 years, is back. And then, we're going to have Joseph Gray is going to be playing a lot. Quinn Duhan is going to be playing. Nazir Rankin is back healthy. He's going to be an impact guy right away for sure. He's been doing a great job at practice. And then we've got Rico Antonio D'Alessandro, who's going to be a good target. Harrison Gassa is going to be ready to go. Barry, too. We just got a lot of guys to get the ball. So,
maybe you could get 2 balls out there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you need. And then on the defensive side, so a little bit of different scheme. Coach O.D. talked us through that. Again, same thing as like the upside of last year having 1 senior is that you got 10 returning starters out there.
Yeah. I mean, the Sun-Times reached out and asked me about returning starters, and I realized because of injuries, we've got like 14 returning starters. We've got a bunch of guys who started games last year who are back, and that we're really comfortable playing not just one but several positions. So in the offseason, Connor and I sat down and we said, I think this is how we get the most out of our really talented athletes, and helps us save some of our linemen where we don't have as much depth and use fewer of them. But guys who are kind of stepping into new roles that we're excited about. Joseph Gray has done a great job as he's a sophomore. He'll be filling in at will linebacker in the box there. He played a lot of DB and safety last year, so we're going to miss Alex Dale calling the defense, but Joseph Clayton's done a great job all summer. So we got the 2 Josephs right in the middle there, and then we're in new roles. We're really excited to see what Barry Gordon and Jason Perez and Rico Antonio D'Alessandro do as what we're calling the jack outside linebacker. Last year they were guys who were more traditional defensive ends, and now we're going to get to use their athleticism. They're all between 205 and 220 pounds. They're all sub-5 second 40 guys that, we just felt we weren't using their athleticism as effectively as we could have. Keeping them in line, right? Yep. They're guys who can pass cover. They're guys who can do all of it. And I think that's going to give offenses a lot of trouble when they're out here trying to figure out what the heck those guys are doing out there. So really excited about Connor taking over the defense as well. We're going to miss Malik Leonard for sure, but Connor's worked his tail off getting the X's and O's all set, and I'm excited as a defensive guy. I played defense in college, so I'm excited to see what all that's going to look like, and been really thrilled with the way the guys have taken to the playbook, learned it, and for me as head coach, you got some non-negotiables out there. The communication's been really, really good, and that can be difficult with high school kids, especially when they're learning a new scheme and they're a little apprehensive about calling things. We talk about over-communicate, like make sure, and they've done a great job. So really excited about that aspect too.
That's awesome. I've been on like a filibuster on this. We've been talking for a long time here.
Yeah.
Which is great. We covered so much stuff. Actually, I want to maybe before signing off, We talked a lot about this varsity 2 deep, 3 deep.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about some of the young guys coming up.
Yeah.
You know, JV is sort of something that develops, right?
Yes.
You don't really know even games and things like that.
Right.
Tell me about some of the guys early in their Dolphin career that are showing some things in practice that you're looking forward to for the year.
Yeah, there's been a bunch. You know, yesterday we went good on good in sort of a scrimmage setting. You know, live and simulated a game, and part of that was not just the varsity guys. For the first time since I've been here, we got to do a quarter of JV ball. So we had all JV players against all JV players, and we know that going in, and we had subs on both sides, and so we're going to have some depth and some continuity, and you know, we're really excited about our sophomore group of linemen, I will say. Dylan Piericini, Alex Olszewski, MJ Woods, he'll be up on the varsity, but and then Adrian Del Villa did a great job this offseason, and they killed, and Ayo Kunle, Alan Espinoza too. I mean, there's 5 or 6 guys who are just killed the weight room this offseason and have really shown it on the field. And then, you know, Von Conrad is really excited. He's taken Bennett Newman's lead as the varsity guy, and he just puts everything on himself, and he's constantly asking, can we get a JV rep here, a JV rep here? And he's excited to just take that sort of mantle on his shoulders and really make it his team, and it's been cool to see. We've also
Does
got
Von Conrad, if we get a little growth spurt in there, do I see a little Pat McHale? Do I see a glimmer of that? Absolutely.
Yeah,
I saw him walking off the field the other day. It's like, that's a Pat McHale clone.
Yes, yeah,
happening.
he gets 3 or 4 inches, and I'll say that, you know, and I think Pat will agree. At this point in Von's career, he's got a better arm than Pat did, so he's got that baseball arm. So now if he's half as tough as Pat, you know, he'll be in good shape. But But it was great seeing Pat and Frank at practice yesterday. Those 2 guys, every time I see them, I'm like, they're in the prime of their lives. You know what I mean? Like, like, you guys you look bigger and stronger, and you know, their faces are clearing up and growing facial hair, and you're just like, man, you guys are hitting your strides, huh? But we're excited about the JV. You know, there's gonna who knows what the schedule's gonna look like? Who knows what the lineup's gonna look like? But there's a lot of talent down there, and a lot of guys who've been working their butt off who are going to be able to show what they can do.
All right. Coach, thanks a lot. Thanks for having us here today.
My pleasure.
We're really looking forward to this season's game, getting going at Hope.
Yep.
We'll check in with you a little later in the week, get a more of a play-by-play on what your expectations are on that. But thanks again for having us. Thanks to all the Whitney Young Dolphin fans out there. I see a bunch of us on, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more after the fact. So thanks for joining us today on Whitney Young Dolphins Media Day, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Friday night at Hope Academy as the Dolphins kick off the 2023 season. Thanks.
Go Dolphins. Appreciate you. This is awesome. Yeah. Good. You're taking my water. I just talked for an hour and a half straight, man. I need some of it.
Yeah. How long were you on air for? I know, but how long was that? Oh, you haven't ended it yet. You haven't ended stream yet. 2 hours and 30